Right after the break.
Stay right here.
Hi folks, we're back. If you've been injured in an accident that's not your fault and you don't have an attorney, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by to answer your questions and tell you what your case is potentially worth. Pick up the phone, call now.
Have you been in a motor vehicle accident that wasn't your fault? Then you may need legal representation. And if you call the number on your screen now, you can be connected to an attorney who can tell you just how much your case could be worth for free. And for a limited time, if you call now, you can get this elegant, luxurious gold watch with the money from your own case. To be clear, not for me. This is my watch. I own it, and I like it a lot. You can't have it. But if you call and win your case and the money is right, you can buy one of these watches for yourself, or any of these watches, or a different watch I've never even seen before, or no watch. The money is yours to do whatever it is you want. Just call the number on your screen now to find out how much your case could be worth for free.
To get a windfall, you first need to call. Call your favorite attorney now.
Call 800-487-0943.
And you can't have my tie either.
You served your country with honor. Now get the benefits you've rightfully earned. Paul R. Lawrence has written the book every veteran should own, Veterans Benefits for You. This step-by-step guide breaks down what you need to know, from financial compensation and disabilities to information for dependents and parents. This book is a must-read for all servicemen and women. Get your free copy today with our special offer. Call the number on your screen or go online to order.
The poverty is unimaginable. There are people who are struggling.
This is where she washes the dishes.
If you're ever going to allow your Christian faith to rise and to do something for God's chosen people, now is the time.
This is the home of Galina. She's 96 years old.
This is what she had to eat for today.
She has one pot with water and wheat.
My father was killed by the Nazis, and I was an orphan. I didn't know about God. But now, in the cold, hungry nights, I pray for food to the God I've never known. There are good people that love you.
You see the tears. Scripture says joy can come in the morning, and you can be the reason.
If you will bless these hurting children of Israel, you will receive God's blessing in return. Your urgent gift today of $25 will help rush a survival food box filled with life-saving essentials. If you call right now, your gift's impact will be doubled to help save lives. Call, scan, or go online now.
I'm not exaggerating when I tell you, I don't know how much longer she could have waited for us to come.
I can't even grow my food anymore. What will happen to me? I'm doomed to starve.
Tens of thousands of elderly Holocaust survivors in the former Soviet Union are living in extreme poverty, hungry, and forgotten. But through the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews, we can bring them hope.
It's my favorite food. May you be blessed.
You say to them, we see you and we're here to help.
If you call right now, your gift's impact will be doubled to help save lives.
So in case you're wondering, like me this morning, John, ChatGPT is actually experiencing some disruptions. A lot of users reporting that the AI chatbot is now just very slow to respond, a lot of error messages. So I thought it was just me, but this is happening globally.
Interesting. Well, you know,
You're watching the Dove TV, encouraging and informative for Salem, Portland, and the Willamette Valley. Seen on KWVT 17.
True.
You know what, folks? We wish we could give you 3 hours, but we can't.
Yes.
So you have to settle for 2. That doesn't.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Mornings on the Dove, and this is where Jerry Bilden says it and I correct it.
Yeah. You know, we do a lot of fact checking, huh?
On ourselves.
On ourselves, that's right.
Anyway, good morning to you. Happy Tuesday as we come out of a huffing and puffing night last night. Man, the wind was just going like crazy, and I didn't, thank the Lord, didn't see any lightning, at least in my area.
Right, us too.
But man, it was blowing around. I thought any moment now, but it never really materialized.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah. Anyway, good morning to you. A lot in the news, there always is. LA is just a mess. We'll get into that a little bit, give you some insight on that. And the temperature still in the warm
it's starting to back down, but it's still hot.
Still hot.
Yeah, but 5 degrees, not as hot as yesterday, maybe.
So did we ever draw the line where hot is? Is it
That's a relative term, isn't it?
Is that 95?
You know what? No, and you know what? It's different for different people.
Yeah.
It really is. And, of course, then you have to bring in such things as, the humidity factor.
Yeah.
And is it dry or is it that?
I gauge it by my dog.
And how does that work?
The dog comes in and lays down on the tile floor where it's cool. And just goes plunk.
That's what I do. I get my belly down.
Just lays flat out like that, I go, okay, it's hot.
That's good. That's a good indicator.
All right, good morning, too. What's up, man?
Well, it's National Forklift Safety Day. And if you've never watched forklift fails on YouTube, do it. There are some things that's like, forklifts, when I was working agriculture, when I was in school, I had summer jobs. I got a chance to drive forklift a few times. It's really a lot of fun, but it can be very perilous.
I don't like it getting above my head.
Well, that is the key. You're absolutely, especially if it's heavy.
Yeah.
You got to be careful up there. Yeah, but boy, go check out Forklift Fails on YouTube and then keep that in mind, especially, well, I probably don't have to keep it in mind. If you're a forklift driver, you probably know. So have a good day out there.
Well, I tell you, the other thing that's kind of in that category are these lifts, these scissor lifts out here.
Yes. Yeah.
One time we had 7 out here working.
No kidding.
Yeah, we're down to 1 now. But, someday I wish I could afford to buy one.
Yeah, well, you drive it pretty good. I've seen you come through that door.
Well, we need it around here.
Yeah.
Everything, we got, 21-foot ceilings in here, and so we need one. But I've been up on top of that thing, and I'm going,
And you know what?
Then these guys push it. It has this thing where you can push it out, and you get out there, and I go, what are you guys doing out there?
I haven't thought about this, but I need one of those to get up in my office.
Oh.
I haven't been up there in months.
You know what? That's what we'll do. We'll put you
Get me on a lift. That's right.
You know what's really good? We'd get you up there, and then we'll all go home.
Oh, no.
We'll just leave you up there.
Pam said, amen.
All right.
All right. It's also National Call Your Doctor Day.
Oh, hi, Doc.
Yes. This is a reminder for young women to schedule their annual Well Woman exam. But, we all have to be aware of the things going on in our, in our lives, in our bodies, and, keep in touch with your doctor. They want to know. Also, National Egg Roll Day.
Egg Roll Day?
Yes.
Is this gonna be
at the what?
The White House? They do that.
Oh, no. This is the Chinese egg roll. This is the food we
egg
eat.
roll.
Egg roll day,
Oh,
yes.
Wow. Those are wonderful.
Oh, yes. It's like chop suey in there.
You like the cream cheese or the one with crab in it?
I like it all.
Yeah,
everything that's called egg roll, I like. Whether
there you
it's
go.
pork, shrimp, cabbage, onions, bamboo shoots, water chestnuts, seasonings all rolled up into a thin pastry wrap and, of course, deep fried.
Deep fried, and then you dip it in either a hot sauce or a sweet sauce.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yes.
All right. All right. And, with that in mind, it's also National Herbs and Spices Day.
All right.
Go to town on that. National Frosted Cookie Day.
Oh.
And of course, those little, I think of the little animal cookies, dipped in pink and white and da-da-da. And then a big glass of milk. Oh, that sounds good. Also, National Iced Tea Day. Yeah, how do you like yours?
Arnold Palmer. More Arnold than Palmer.
More Arnold. So that's more juice or more tea?
I always say that when I order one. I say, can I have an Arnold Palmer? Could you give me a little bit more Arnold than Palmer?
And they say, what?
Yeah. So, did you ever see how this was invented?
No.
Okay, Arnold Palmer, the golfer.
Right.
He comes into the greenhouse, or the clubhouse after he plays.
Uh-huh.
And he goes over and he puts his glass, he gets some ice, and he puts his glass underneath the iced tea.
Okay.
And then he goes over and gets the lemonade.
Oh, it's lemonade, not orange juice. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, you know what? I do Arnold Palmer a lot when I'm at the, at a fast food restaurant.
Yeah.
I like to do iced tea, and I like to do a little bit of, if they don't have lemonade, I'll use Sprite.
Okay, well, they
Yeah.
do that, and then it's lemonade and iced tea.
Yeah.
So I always say a
Yeah.
little more Arnold than Palmer, which just throws them off. That's all it does.
Uh-huh.
But it's good.
Did
It
you-
By the way,
What?
Snapple now makes it that way.
Oh, they do.
Snapple now has the Arnold Palmer.
Well, you know what?
And zero sugar.
That makes sense. Why wouldn't Snapple do that? They do every other type of iced tea there is, right?
So they have now the Arnold Palmer with zero sugar.
Of course, put on the map by Rush Limbaugh.
Well, he did, and then he did his own tea company.
Yeah,
for a while.
after he made them, a national standard.
I have to tell you, I like it.
I do too.
But I do the zero sugar
And
one.
this makes sense. Did you know that iced tea is the second most popular drink, most popular beverage in the world?
Really?
Only behind water.
Oh.
How about that?
How about Uncle Si on Duck Dynasty?
Does he do iced tea? Did he?
Oh, he always did it in that plastic cup thing. He brought back that 1950 plastic cup. He always had it full of ice.
And you know what? A lot of people, they say iced tea was actually introduced in 1904 at the World's Fair in St. Louis by a tea merchant who planned to serve hot tea, but they had a heat wave come through and nobody wanted hot tea, so he had an idea. He went and bought ice and started putting them in the glasses and filling them up, and people went nuts. It was a new taste sensation. Nobody had iced tea before.
You like iced coffee?
I love iced coffee. Oh, man, I leave a little extra on my morning pot in the morning, so I get home, I pour it over ice, and I put a little bit of almond milk in it. Oh, I treat myself. Anyway, National Black Cow Day, otherwise known as the root beer float.
Oh, okay.
Check it out. Well, this one is, look at this one. There's root beer. Mm-hmm. Yeah, stir. Okay, this one's a little different. This one's got a little, anytime you put ice cream in root beer.
Okay, now that's the way to do it, and I'll tell you why.
Why?
You see how it foams after you put
Right. Okay, and even, yes.
So if you put the ice cream, or you put the root beer first, then the ice cream, and then a little root beer, then it doesn't all foam up on you.
That's a good idea. Otherwise, you have to put it in the root beer like in an eyedropper so it doesn't foam over. Okay. Did you know, see that thing right there?
Chin?
Yeah. Did you know that humans are the only animals? Now, we have a lot of body parts that other animals have. Eyes, nose, ears, feet, legs, arms sometimes. But chin. Only humans have chins. Did you know that? Only humans have chins. And it isn't just the lower part of your face. It's a specific term for that little piece of bone extending from your jawline. While it may seem odd, humans are the only animals that have this. So you wonder, God, why did you give us chins? Well, it might have something to do with this.
Oh, you gotta be kidding. You gotta be kidding. Oh, no. Okay. Okay. So you got the dancing, singing chin?
The chin. You know what? This is a group called the Chins.
Okay.
Thank you, Scotty.
All right.
So that's what we got for you today. Enjoy your Tuesday.
All right, so there's two things I learned about this. We're the only ones that have chins, and we really are animals.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's the chinny chin chin doing the weather.
A ridge of high pressure that's been over our region is moving out, and with it, temperatures will start to move down. So today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, mostly sunny with daytime high temperatures in the mid to upper 80s for Vancouver, Portland, Wilsonville, and McMinnville. Continuing down the Willamette Valley with mostly sunny skies in mid-80s for Salem, Albany, and Corvallis. Sunny in Eugene with a high near 87 and a calm wind becoming north-northwest 5 to 7 miles per hour this afternoon. In central Oregon, becoming sunny with a high in the mid-90s in Prineville. Sunny in Bend with a high near 92 and Sun River in the upper 80s. Over in Boise, Idaho, sunny and hot with a high near 98 and a light northwest wind. Along the Oregon coast, mostly sunny with daytime highs in the low to mid-60s for Coos Bay, Port Orford, and Brookings. Early patchy fog before 8 a.m. in Crescent City, otherwise partly sunny with a high near 65. In southern Oregon, sunny, then a chance of thunderstorms with daytime highs in the upper 90s for Grants Pass and Medford and near 92 in Ashland. A chance of thunderstorms in low 90s in the Klamath Basin. Into Northern California, sunny, then a chance of thunderstorms in mid-90s in Wairika. Sunny in upper 90s in Redding and low 90s for Chico and Sacramento with a southwest wind gusting up to 21 miles per hour. In the Bay Area, early patchy drizzle, then sunny with highs in the mid to upper 70s for Santa Rosa and Napa. Patchy drizzle, then sunny in mid-60s in San Francisco. And today in San Jose, patchy drizzle, then sunny in low 80s. It's a look at your Tuesday weather on the Dove.
Okay, beautiful shot of our backyard. A little bit of a haze out there, and actually some clouds left over from the thunderstorm activity yesterday afternoon, evening. There's some clouds around the edges, and so anyway, we'll see how this develops. But we're in for another one.
Okay, we got a chance of thunder bumpers this afternoon in a number of different spots here. But one of the things I have noticed as I go down the road of life is that there are truly no shortage of things to expand your prayer life. So what are you praying about today? Well, here's Dr. Anthony George encouraging us to get involved in prayer.
The peace that we can have is not just peace that we trust God for, but other people praying for us can pray the peace of God into our lives through faithful intercession. That's why when someone tells you they've been praying for you, do you realize that's worth more than them cutting a check for $1 million and putting it in your hand? When they're calling your name in front of God, they're doing the greatest thing for you that anybody can ever do. And some time ago, I talked about to the early service particularly, I say a bunch of stuff there I don't dare say on live stream. But there'd been this season where I could not sleep on Saturday nights. Fear and panic and anxiety and turning, tossing every hour on the hour. And I really couldn't pinpoint the reason, and I just confessed that to the church. And a group of them started praying for me on Saturday nights. Wasn't that amazing? They didn't organize it. They just started doing it. And out of nowhere, I didn't know they were doing this. I started having restful Saturday nights, sleeping soundly, waking up refreshed, ready to come into church. And then I found out several of them said, we've been praying for you on Saturday nights. What were they doing? They were praying the peace of God over me. And they weren't even in my home. They weren't anywhere near me. But their prayer to God brought peace where I live. And that's the power of prayer. We can bless other people by doing that for one another. And so often we resort to all the other platitudes and quick fix cures that we've opted for when prayer is where the real power is to be found.
Mm-hmm. Well, when people ask you to pray for them, do you? Mm-hmm. See, we have this circulation thing. I just want our listeners and viewers to know, when you send in a prayer request, what happens here? It gets proliferated throughout the staff. It's all confidential. Yeah. And every staff member gets a copy of your prayer request to pray when they have time to stop and pray for you. And so you're not only being prayed for once, you're being prayed for multiple times. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't take much, but when you stop and you acknowledge this person's need before the Lord, heaven engages. And I can't tell you how that works, but it works. Mm-hmm. Okay? And things happen.
Okay, let me ask you this. Okay, we tend, especially guys, I think we tend to want to take care of the difficulties in our life by ourselves. We want to be kind of closed-mouthed about it, and we don't want to trouble others with our troubles and things like that.
Oh, yeah, that problem.
Yeah. So how does that work out when we need prayer from others? Are we encouraged to take it to others?
Well, see, that you're bringing up, we could talk all day on this one.
Oh, yeah.
The vulnerability of being a Christian, asking for help, praying, I sit on various boards, and every once in a while I am moved to contact the leader of that organization. I can't say it's daily, but when I feel it, I stop, send a text, send an email or something like that, praying for you, thought of you this morning, stuff like that. I can't tell you, the most powerful tool in the hand of a pastor today is this phone.
Yeah.
All you got to do is text people, thought of you this morning in prayer. Do you know what that would do to somebody? It would ignite their day.
Yeah.
So, but when you need prayer, what do? you know.
Well, yeah, that's the big question. Are we willing to take our troubles elsewhere to those who can pray for us?
I think naturally we're reluctant.
I think so.
But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't do it. It's just that I think there's a natural form of it. But sooner or later, it's like I always say, there's only two things that'll change you: inspiration or desperation.
Yeah.
And some kind God uses desperation to inspire you.
Been there, done that. Yeah.
All right. Good morning to you. Happy Tuesday. Let's look at some of the stories. One of the big stories is the American and the Chinese delegation arrived in Lancaster, England yesterday, at the Lancaster House, in London yesterday afternoon, and to begin what they're calling a round of trade negotiations. This is primarily going to be for the rare earth materials and advanced technology at the center of their talks. And so they're meeting there. We'll see what comes of this. This is a meeting that follows a phone call conversation last week between President Trump and President Xi Jinping, and we'll see where this goes. Is this the beginning of some kind of negotiations? I don't know. We'll see what happens on that. All right. Well, the big mess is Southern California, and I'm telling you, this has got real problems, folks. This is escalating at a whole new level. The president sent yesterday 2,000 additional National Guardsmen to the riot rack city there in Southern California, Los Angeles, and he's sending in the Marines as well. This thing got worse yesterday. It's accelerating. I have several questions about this. Where is leadership from the state? The state, instead of fighting the rioters, the state's fighting President Trump.
Right.
And this has to do with sanctuary cities and federal property. This is way out of control. And it's getting worse. And the only thing I can say is the Marines are coming in today. We'll see where this is going to do. They're going to put this down. There is no leadership.
Right.
This is absolutely chaos. Now, let me just say something here. I begin to sense something happening.
What?
As you know, President Trump on June 14th wants to have the military parade in Washington.
Right.
Which would be the anniversary date of the 250 years of the Army. They're saying now this is the beginning of nationwide protests escalating in order to rob that from the president on June 14th. We're only a week away.
Oh, I can't, yeah.
We're only a few days away from that.
Sure.
So they're saying the motivation behind this now. I have another question. Who are the rioters? Why haven't we identified these people?
Yeah. Right.
Are these people that go from riot to riot that are literally shipped in?
Yeah, I don't know.
They're professional rioters?
Yeah.
Okay. Is this George Soros paid group?
Yeah.
Are these all Hispanics? No. Are they people fighting free Palestine? There's some of those mixed in. This is really crazy stuff, and it's happening in L.A. Where is Governor Newsom and where is Mayor Bates?
They're standing with the rioters, and so. But isn't it interesting? We've heard
Bass. Excuse me.
Yeah, Bass. Yeah. Isn't it interesting? The Democrats, what they call insurrection and what they call peaceful protest. The National Guard and Marines basically are going there to protect federal buildings.
You're right.
Yeah, they've been under attack. And of course, we look back at the incident in Washington, D.C. That was a federal building, and there's a lot of controversy around that. But of course, that was an insurrection in the eyes of the Democrats, and this is what they call mostly peaceful protests. As cars are burning and people are federal officers are being attacked. Did you hear what John Fetterman said? He's the only Democrat that seems to have any sense about this. He said, he spoke out against anarchy and true chaos, declaring that Democrats forfeit the moral high ground if they do not decry the violence. So we have this double standard going on. I say that they're playing right into Trump's handbook, right into his hands, because we've already decided the immigration policy. We voted for Trump for a reason. And that reason is being played out in his actions. And now they're going to fight the administration and the federal government as we try to enact the laws of this country?
Well, that seems to be the motive. But you have something now that's bigger, and that is that the town is burning.
Yeah.
These are rioters. This is in the shadow of the Pacific Palisades fires.
Oh, yeah.
And so you've got a governor and a mayor that is just totally AWOL on this. They're fighting the president. Now, the other and bringing in troops to bring this thing to a halt. They're trying to say, well, you caused it.
And then, of course, we got Maxine Waters pulling her political stunts, trying to force her way into a facility itself. This whole thing is upside down.
So there's rumors, it's just a rumor, is the governor's action abating the problem? In other words, by not doing anything. Is he complicit to the problem?
Yes.
And is he actually protecting the rioters and the illegals?
Absolutely.
Therefore, could he be arrested?
Well, you know what? I don't know if he could be arrested for his words because we have free speech.
Yeah.
But if he gets out there and he tries to support, look out.
Okay, so Tom Homan, who he's the point man for President Trump's deportation. Look, I understand he's a general type of guy.
Yes, he is.
He's a no-nonsense kind of guy.
Yeah.
But he does make a good point here, and here's what he had to say.
We got to bring safety to this town. And what angers me the most, Greta, people aren't looking at the facts. ICE has arrested significant public safety threats the last few days in LA. We arrested a murderer, a Vietnamese national who murdered teenagers at a graduation party. We arrested several sexual predators, child sexual predators. We arrested people convicted of armed robbery. We arrested people for domestic violence and all sorts of public safety threats. ICE made LA, Los Angeles, a lot safer in the last couple of days. Governor Newsom and Mayor Bass should be thanking ICE for taking these public safety threats off the streets.
Okay, so a couple things in this. He's right. The governor and the mayor should be thanking the federal government to come in. And here is what the news isn't covering. They haven't run the profile of the people that they have arrested and are deporting. All they got to do is run the rap sheets on the ones that they have arrested, and you have to ask yourself the question, why would you folks support these people staying here? So they know that's the problem. So they have to cover it up with all this action over here, so you never really read the rap sheet of who's being deported over here.
That is perfect. Remember all the hoopla and all the uproar on the left when Abrego Garcia got sent back home and put back into prison, and they went down and visited him and had to go to the prison and stuff. They wanted him back. Well, they got him back. Guess what he's been charged with? Human trafficking. Multiple counts of human trafficking. Now the Democrats are saying, well, we don't back him, we're not supporting him. It was the process that we were backing. The rule of law is what we were backing.
Well, listen, it's nonsense on steroids.
Yes.
The only thing I can say is if the D has a half a brain that they want to have a future, they'd get on the other side of this real quick. But they don't. Their motivation is to damage the president, at the cost of public safety. And the only thing I can say is this is going to go. I don't. How can I say it so it comes out right? When I saw what the president wants to do to celebrate our military on the 250th anniversary of Army, and we haven't had a military parade in America for a long time since H.W. Bush. That this will accelerate over the next 4 days. To take away from that. And it's very possible that that could be canceled. So we'll see where this goes, but they're calling for nationwide demonstrations. Okay, so let's see what happens. I think the D doesn't understand what they're. I'll tell you one thing. I don't see Newsom surviving this at all.
You are absolutely right.
He just lost. He just 100%. Now enjoying his last public election.
You are on the money.
They're going to go after him like crazy. So if he had a half a brain, and I'm beginning to wonder if he does, he ought to jump out in front of this. Thank guys for being in there. Let's put this down and show some leadership. But there's no leadership going on there.
Well, did you hear Eric Adams in New York? He said, we won't allow this in New York City. Don't even think about it.
Yeah, and then, this is in the shadow of the fires. And they still haven't solved the fire problem.
Oh, no,
I don't know. Anyway, folks, as believers, hopefully you understand what's going on with all this stuff. All right, we'll take a quick, what is it today?
What is it today? Oh gosh, we got so many things today. I lost track. Iced tea day.
Oh, iced tea.
Black cow day. Root beer float.
Oh no, wait a minute. Black
egg roll day. What do you want? You can have it all.
Well, egg rolls are good.
Yeah, egg rolls are very good.
The black cow thing. Let's wait till about 2:00.
Okay. Yeah, after my dentist appointment, I'm going to today.
You got one too?
Yes, I do.
I always talk about root canals.
You got one? Oh, I'm sorry. That's not funny, is it?
Well, I'm really scared that the guy's just going to show up with the Makita. It's my turn to get even with you. We'll be right back.
Live the adventure with Hellgate Jetboat Excursions. Discover your wild side in the heart of the Pacific Northwest with Hellgate's high-speed spins, stunning rogue river scenery, and incredible wildlife sightings. It's an experience like no other. Plus, you can enjoy brunch or dinner on the open-air deck of the exclusive Hellgate River Lodge, a place where families connect, friends unite, and the river brings it all to life. Visit Hellgate.com to book your adventure. Hellgate Jetboat Excursions, where adventure runs wild.
Chris Silva understands your home and your commercial buildings are two of the largest investments most people make in a lifetime. One is for your family, the other is to support your family financially. That is why Chris Silva Painting goes the extra mile to protect both homes and commercial buildings with proper painting preparation and high-quality primers and paints. Serving Southern Oregon since 2006, this family-owned and operated business has painted over 1,000 homes. Chris Silva Painting offers an industry-leading 5-year warranty that covers materials and labor on all painting projects. Work for both residential and commercial buildings, both interior and exterior painting. Chris and his crew are courteous, they are efficient, organized, timely, and clean. Chris Silva Painting also offers military discounts. At Chris Silva Painting, our mission statement is to bring Christ's heart and principles to our customers and our job sites. We do that with honesty, integrity, and hard work. We don't cut corners, we paint them. CCB number 176097. Chris Silva Painting, 541-890-3960.
Co-op, where big ideas grow.
Good morning, 27 minutes past the hour on this beautiful Tuesday morning. Just a little backyard news. Our Oregon legislature continues to be in session. They got about 18, 19 days left to go before they sign die and they get out of there. As you remember, a group of Republicans have spent weeks negotiating with the Department of Transportation, with Democrats, about what to do with the Department of Transportation in Oregon. And they negotiated this transportation funding proposal with the majority of the Democrats, and the thing was going down the road pretty well. And Senator Bruce Starr, who's really kind of the star behind this whole thing, all of a sudden yesterday, the thing turned around, and the majority, the Republicans said there's no way we're going to vote for the bill that we worked with. Why? Because at the last minute, the Democrats do what they do best, and they stamp a bunch of tax increases on it. And so the Republicans are not only going to be a stamp of approval for partisan tax increases without additional collaboration, so they're pulling out of the negotiations. This could result in something that we've been talking about. Will this give us the 20 cents a gallon gas tax? Who knows? The only thing I can say is that the moment the doors open on tax and gas, overall, it is the biggest hit to commerce that you could possibly do. And why legislators go up there and think that taxing gas somehow is going to solve a funding problem in a department that you allow to get out of control is absolutely ludicrous. And if you want to kill commerce, tax gas. And that's what they are thinking about doing.
Well, I'm still convinced the Democrats want to tax gas as much as they can, as often as they can, simply as a tool to help move us towards EVs. It's their agenda.
But you're not going to get your tax credit with buying an EV anymore.
That's the truth. Yep.
Yeah, and you're not going to get a tax credit for putting in a solar panel.
Oh, is that right? Oh,
yeah, all this is going away. There's some state incentives, but the federal incentives are gone. So I don't know. I just don't understand. We have the most beautiful state in the union that offers companies everything they need to attract their employees to come here and live.
Yeah.
And we drive them out with this kind of stuff.
Yep.
It's just absolutely ludicrous. There, and I'm not running for anything. I used to run for the border, but I don't want to go down there anymore.
Yeah.
I'd go north, but it's got problems too.
That's
true. I think I'll just stay in my own backyard.
Yeah, absolutely.
Take a look at the satellite image. Here's what's going on out there. Continued high pressure and warm temperatures, warm to hot temperatures.
Yep, but sliding down. You know, today's the downturn, and it's going to continue.
2 degrees.
Yeah, well, actually, maybe around 5, and even more up north. But and that's where this high pressure is moving out, and it starts up north. But so we'll see. You know, it's still springtime, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So
all day.
It changes. Anyway, well, talking about changing. Macron from France.
Ooh.
Interesting. After his recent kind of embarrassing video, he continues with policy matters, and here's another
Did we ever
case.
find out what the push was about?
I don't know what that was about.
Okay, because you know what's interesting about that? That went away, but it obviously was a personal beef.
Obviously, yes.
There were people who said, no, they were bickering
going at
all
it.
through the flood, and all of a sudden, bam, he takes one of the chops.
Yeah. I'm not even going there, because Macron is back in the news for a different reason as U.S. ambassador.
Isn't that domestic abuse?
You know, it's spousal abuse, right?
Spousal abuse.
That's right. If she'd left a mark, they could have put her in handcuffs. And it doesn't matter anymore.
And of all places, France, which is, you know, is about as woke as it comes.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry about that.
Mike Huckabee sat down with Newsmax's Zach Anders, and he discussed French President Macron's demands in the upcoming UN meeting to demand a Palestinian state out of Israel and the media's reporting of the Gaza war.
What I said to Mr. Macron was that if you want a Palestinian state so badly, why don't you host it? Let the French Riviera become the new Palestinian state. You've got plenty of land. People don't understand. Israel has less than a tiny fraction. Muslim-controlled countries have 644 times the amount of real estate that Israel has. So when people say, well, carve out some of Israel, what are they asking them to do? Carve out a bit of a tiny piece of property that's the size of New Jersey, and if there really is a desire to see something separate, and quite frankly, a lot of Palestinian people would rather live under Israeli rule than they had the rule of the Palestinian Authority, which is incredibly corrupt and has left them in poverty and unemployed. I think there are some media outlets, quite frankly, that are so irresponsible, so reckless. They took Hamas news releases and parroted them without any question. And you can't call that journalism when you provide the people with essentially a press release from Hamas. This is like getting dietary advice from Jeffrey Dahmer and calling it culinary expertise. It's ridiculous. And that's why I push back hard, and I will continue to, because I found that it was utterly hurtful. And I believe this. It's contributing to this climate of anti-Semitism that we now see erupting in violence, even in the U.S.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, what a clear thinker.
Absolutely.
And a great communicator.
Yes, yes, 100%.
Okay, well, by the way, I got calls yesterday afternoon if we had a strawberry rhubarb pie. And I said, no, but don't bring one. Okay. Okay, so people were feeling sorry for us.
Thank you.
Don't do that.
Yeah,
when we talk about food, we're not trolling.
We're not, necessarily.
Kind of, sort of.
Sometimes.
Depends on what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. But the black cow thing at 100-degree day,
yeah.
Well, that's got some legs to it.
That works.
All right, we'll be right back.
Let the waters come and the earth give way. I'll be dancing in the rain. My feet are on the rock.
At Sweet Tea Express, we've got you covered. Order at the counter and our friendly service staff will do the rest. Burgers, salads, sandwiches, barbecue platters, sides, and more. Smoked, grilled, and served to perfection. Sweet Tea Express. Breakfast, burgers, and barbecue.
Hi, I'm the SOS Alarm guy, here to tell you about a great deal. SOS Alarm will not only beat any internet deal, but will install the system too. So burglars, beware. SOS Alarm for security and beyond.
Come fall in love with Northridge Senior Living, where contemporary sunlit interiors meet old world elegance. Walk through our lovely hallways and enjoy the fun staff-led activities. Forge lasting friendships with other residents and our exceptional caregivers. Dine in style. Gather near the fireplace under breathtaking chandeliers. Our reasonably priced apartments are spacious with private balconies. Northridge is Christian owned and operated, pet friendly, and only 2 blocks from Asante Rogue Regional Medical Center. On-site 24/7 in-home care is available. We also offer senior adult daycare where your loved one can spend the day with us and the evenings with you. Northridge Senior Living, your home.
How y'all doing out there? All right, summertime. And it's not really summertime yet.
Yeah,
but
getting close. Yeah.
Getting close. And we're coming up to the longest day of the year, you know, which is somewhere around June 20 to 22, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
So, and then it goes the other way, you know. This has been an interesting spring. And you know what's really interesting to me is coming down off the grade and looking at Immigrant, which was a puddle for the last 3-4 years.
Yeah.
To see it full, I'm going, thank you, Lord.
Yes, indeed.
And Shasta is almost to the brim. I mean, it's like up there. All those islands you saw in the middle, they're all gone.
Yeah.
You know, and the water is beautiful. So anyway, fish in the river.
Yeah, I see boats up there. They're
And
going.
fish in the hatchery. You know. Oh, so old Chester here hasn't been up there for a while, but
No.
I think you got to mosey on up there.
I need to get to a handicap zone.
You need to take a look over the fence and see how many fins are in the hatchery there.
There you go. Yeah.
All right. Good morning to you. 23 minutes before the hour. Let's check in with CBN News Watch.
This is CBN News Watch.
It's Tuesday, June 10th, going to begin this half hour in the Middle East as President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu spoke about Iran again and the deadline for a nuclear deal approaching. All of that as Israel faces the possible crisis which could bring the government down. CBN News Middle East correspondent Julie Stahl brings us the story now. She's reporting from Jerusalem.
President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu spoke on the phone Monday as U.S. talks with Iran over its nuclear weapons program continue, but with little progress.
We discussed a lot of things, and it went very well, very smooth. We'll see what happens.
Trump's 2-month deadline for Iran to agree to stop its program for developing nuclear weapons runs out this week.
They are good negotiators, but they're tough. Sometimes they can be too tough. That's the problem. So we're trying to make a deal so that there's no destruction and death. And we've told them that, and I've told them that, and I hope that's the way it works out. But it might not work out that way.
The Iranians claim their nuclear program is for civilian nuclear power. The International Atomic Energy Agency is now revealing that 20 years ago, Iran carried out implosion tests that are only needed in developing atomic bombs and have no civilian use. The Iranian regime is threatening retaliation if the IAEA censures its nuclear program or if Israel launches military strikes against Iran's nuclear sites. They also warned an Israeli strike on their nuclear facilities would spur them on to develop atomic bombs.
The Islamic Republic of Iran has prepared a series of steps and measures. The other side is more or less aware of our capabilities and capacities in this regard.
America's new ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, told CBN News that Trump means what he says.
I don't know that we take Iran at its word. They normally don't keep theirs very well in the 46 years that they've ruled that country. But I would take President Trump very seriously when he says they will not have a nuclear weapon.
Israel is also facing trouble from within. Ultra-Orthodox parties of Netanyahu's ruling coalition are threatening to bring down the government. The issue is legislation that would force many ultra-Orthodox to serve in the military like the majority of young Israeli men. For decades, they've been exempt from military service by replacing it with religious study. Huckabee was pulled into the controversy when ultra-Orthodox parties asked to meet with him, sparking criticism from the opposition. He says both sides need to work out a plan, and it's not for the U.S. to intervene. However, a collapsed government would not look good.
It would create an extraordinary sense of anxiety because it would be viewed as instability.
In Gaza, some Palestinians continue to accuse Israeli troops of attacking Gazans seeking aid, but provide no evidence. Meanwhile, the new Israeli and American program to provide millions of meals to feed them continues.
Israel has delivered over 1,200 truckloads in the last 2 weeks.
Julie Stahl, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Our CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell is joining us now from Jerusalem. So, Chris, let's begin with Iran. They're threatening retaliation if the International Atomic Energy Agency censures the nuclear program or if Israel launches a strike against them. How could they strike back?
Well, they could strike back, and as Julie said in her report, they're actually warning they're going to develop a nuclear bomb if they attack those sites, which is kind of ironic. But right now they could respond with ballistic missiles, drones, UAVs, but also, Ephraim, they failed twice last year. They had attacks. I was through both of them, and many people went to bomb shelters, but most, I would say almost 99% of all those projectiles failed. And right now, their proxies around Israel, it was called the Ring of Fire, are pretty much decimated. That would include Hamas, Hezbollah, and even the Houthis. And so right now, we seem to be at a tipping point, and the negotiations over Iran's nuclear program, concerns are heating up. As Julie said in her report, Netanyahu held a 40-minute phone call with President Trump. And also, President Trump met with his top foreign policy officials at Camp David. So right now, it seems to be at loggerheads. They're just undecided. The loggerheads mean that Iran is saying they insist they have to enrich uranium, and President Trump is saying they can't.
What will be the U.S. role if or when Israel strikes Iran? Do we know if Israel would act alone, or would the U.S. and possibly other countries get involved?
Well, we don't know for sure right now, Ephraim. I'm sure that was the subject of the phone call with President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu. So right now, Israel's best scenario would be a joint campaign that the U.S. could participate in. They have military hardware, bunker-busting bombs that would really make a big damage or large damage to Iran's nuclear facilities. If not, if they don't join the whole campaign, perhaps they can provide logistical support, intelligence, maybe air refueling, and to find out what nations in the area would help in the region. You'd have to look at the nations that helped Israel last year when Iran did attack. That would include Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and they were the ones that helped assist and knock down many of those projectiles and UAVs and drones that were fired by Iran. So there are limits to what Iran can do, it seems, even with their bluster.
Sounds like it's coming to the intersection. Yeah, so we'll have to keep an eye on them. All right, let's take a look at the thing called weather.
A ridge of high pressure that's been over our region is moving out, and with it, temperatures will start to move down. So today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, mostly sunny with daytime high temperatures in the mid to upper 80s for Vancouver, Portland, Wilsonville, and McMinnville. Continuing down the Willamette Valley with mostly sunny skies in mid-80s for Salem, Albany, and Corvallis. Sunny in Eugene with a high near 87 and a calm wind becoming north-northwest 5 to 7 miles per hour this afternoon. In Central Oregon, becoming sunny with a high in the mid-90s in Prineville, sunny in Bend with a high near 92, and Sun River in the upper 80s. Over in Boise, Idaho, sunny and hot with a high near 98 and a light northwest wind. Along the Oregon coast, mostly sunny with daytime highs in the low to mid-60s for Coos Bay, Port Orford, and Brookings. Early patchy fog before 8 a.m. in Crescent City, otherwise partly sunny with a high near 65. In southern Oregon, sunny, then a chance of thunderstorms with daytime highs in the upper 90s for Grants Pass and Medford and near 92 in Ashland. A chance of thunderstorms in low 90s in the Klamath Basin. Into Northern California, sunny, then a chance of thunderstorms in mid-90s in Wairika. Sunny in upper 90s in Redding and low 90s for Chico and Sacramento with a southwest wind gusting up to 21 miles per hour. In the Bay Area, early patchy drizzle, then sunny with highs in the mid to upper 70s for Santa Rosa and Napa. Patchy drizzle, then sunny in mid-60s in San Francisco. And to get your Tuesday weather on the Dove.
Hey, what a beautiful shot of our backyard. The sun is up, and you can see some kind of puffy clouds left over from the buildups yesterday afternoon. They could reemerge today.
Yeah.
All the makings are there, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, we're just, there is a chance of thunderstorms in a number of places this afternoon, and we're just hoping for no lightning.
There we go.
Absolutely. Okay, well, it was on this day in history that the language coming from a pet parrot got the parrot removed from an ex-president's funeral. Check this out.
It was a solemn day. Statesman, war hero, and former President Andrew Jackson was being laid to rest. Mourners gathered at his estate, the Hermitage, beneath heavy skies and heavy hearts. But amidst the reverent hush, a raucous voice shattered the stillness. Not from a man, but from a bird. Jackson's beloved African gray parrot, Paul, had been brought indoors for the ceremony. Known for mimicking his master's colorful language, Paul began screeching a shocking string of profanities echoing through the halls of mourning. Eyewitness William Menifee Normand later wrote, "Before the sermon and while the crowd was gathering, a wicked parrot that was a household pet got excited and commenced swearing so loud and long as to disturb the people. The clergymen were aghast. Mourners stifled laughter and gasps alike. Paul, still shrieking obscenities, had to be forcibly removed. In the end, the parrot that once entertained a president stole the spotlight at his funeral, a final, unintentional tribute from a feathered friend who knew his master's tongue all too well."
Oops.
Oops. That's like having a little kid that parrots you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't take that one to a memorial.
Oh, man.
Oh, gosh.
Isn't that funny?
It just shows you that what's done in the dark will be brought to the light.
Yes.
There you go.
Perfect.
All right. Well, listen, are you engaged in social media? We always get on it about kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about you adults?
Yeah.
All of us. Are we being swayed by it? Jack Hibbs weighs in on this one.
You're not always going to be the age that you are right now. You might be 14 years old right now using social media. And because you don't have the moral capacity, you don't have the ethical capacity, I'm not knocking you. You just simply don't have it yet. At 14 years of age, you actually don't need it yet. But you don't have the moral rudder or the ethical foundation of a 30-year-old. And so you'll post something or you'll say something. I love Jesus. He's my all in all. And then you're over here on Facebook or TikTok or Snapchat or whatever, and you're just tearing somebody apart. Oh man, you know what? They this and this, and I hope they drop dead and blah, 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 and they make me sick and blah, 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 blah. That's there forever. And you've taken the Lord's name in vain. Please go back to your bio and erase everything about the Lord. Just erase him off of your bio or off of your, if you have a cross around your neck on your profile photo, please get a new photo and have a new photo without the cross. It's so serious. Do not take the Lord's name in vain. Do not misrepresent God and tell people you know who he is and that you love him when your posts, your comments, your actions on the social media platform world betray that statement. Very, very important. Strong, strong things. And the Lord says, I will not hold you guiltless. Wow.
Wow.
That's to a believer.
Yeah, wow.
Not to a non-believer.
That's pretty good.
Whew. All right, we'll be right back.
And in one moment, everything changed. Through our worlds got washed away. When mercy found me.
Since 1987, Four Seasons Nursery has been the gold standard in the green industry here in Southern Oregon. Tim Albert and his friendly staff continue to offer the best plants and most accurate knowledge to create your dream landscape. At Four Seasons Nursery on Crater Lake Avenue, you can let your imagination run wild with a huge selection of all things plant and gardening for both inside and outside beautification. Whether it's a flower for your windowsill, one of our beautifully renowned signature hanging baskets, or a complete landscape design for your entire property, Four Seasons Nursery can help you every step of the way with design services, workshops, and more. Let your imagination run wild as you immerse yourself in their nursery filled with beauty that knows no bounds. Four Seasons Nursery, 5736 Crater Lake Avenue, 5736 Crater Lake Avenue, 1/2 mile north of Vilas Road, 541-779-5603, 541-779-5603.
You feel most alive where you feel most at home. And this is living. Bobcat, the company that changed the way the world works, is coming home with a quality compact tractor built to match your quality of life. This isn't work you have to do. It's work you get to do. So get it done in a tractor that's all you. See your dealer or visit bobcat.com.
The Dove TV is encouraging and informative, and your place to see Transformed, a groundbreaking series that takes you behind closed doors to witness biblical counseling with real people facing real issues. Transformed reveals how lives are changed through Scripture. No issue is taken off the table. Join Dr. Greg Gifford and see lives transformed from brokenness to wholeness. Watch Mondays and Thursdays only on the Dove TV.
Good morning to you. 9 minutes before the hour. Well, you know, a lot going on with Samaritan's Purse. They're everywhere. They are probably the premier first responding organization in the world, and they are in Judea and Samaria, better known as the West Bank, as well as Gaza, building centers that will protect first responders. You know, Samaritan's Purse is responsible for delivering bulletproof ambulances there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so they got, even in Israel, they're doing the work. So let's check in with Edward Graham.
Just left Jerusalem. We've been flying up the Jordan River Valley just over the West Bank. But these communities were hit up here and they are often forgot about. But Samaritan's Purse hasn't forgotten about them. We've got some great relationship with local community leaders, churches in the area. We're very thankful for the work and opportunities that we get to have, but these people are hurting. And so today I'm going to go get eyes on myself to see what the team's been involved with. There's a long way to go for healing, and that's why we're here, to let Israel know they're not forgotten about and that God loves them.
Samaritan's Purse with Harvest Church is delivering ambulances throughout Israel in order to support communities like the one I'm in right here. The ambulance we dedicated is coming to this community here. Rockets and missiles came into this community center, and then the skylight above me, they sent a drone in and attacked, and it killed an individual where I'm standing, wounded several others. You can see the shrapnel behind me. But Samaritan's Purse, we're going around the country and we're building ambulance exchange points, and this will be able to house the ambulance, keep the medical staff safe, and then be able to serve these communities. This is a place where the community leaders were just describing the horrors that have happened here. People are still fearful about coming back. So it's about helping these local leaders bring back confidence so people will move back to these areas. But we also want Israel to know they're not forgotten.
Right now I'm flying south, and this is the Gaza Strip just off to my right. And beside this, down the south on the Egyptian border, Hamas came out and attacked the communities there, and there's the locals, both Jewish and Arab communities that were attacked. Today I'm going to go see another ambulance exchange point location, and this will help bring security to the community, bring confidence back to those communities to move back. There's still a lot of people displaced here.
I'm in the community in the kibbutz of Nir Oz, and this is where they burned the houses down, they pulled children away from their parents, they murdered babies. I've heard the story of the survivors. You see the pictures of the wall, the photos of those that are no longer here, part of this community, have been killed or are still in captivity. And there's operations, explosions have been happening the whole time I've been touring this village. But the community leaders are rebuilding, and they want to bring people back to this kibbutz this summer and start bringing this community back. And Samaritan's Purse has just committed and agreed to partner with them and helping them with a community clinic and a resilience center. I've walked and talked to some of the survivors, and I've asked, do you have hate in their heart? And they don't. I don't understand that myself as a human, but they love their neighbors and they want peace. But we can't help Israel without you. I ask that you continue to pray for Israel. They need our prayers. They need our support. So thank you. And I appreciate all those that support Samaritan's Purse for being a part of this. I love you very much. Pray for Israel.
Go. All right, here we go. You talk about social media trends. Well, here's a charming one. Take a look at what's going on out there.
It started with one charming photo and a simple caption. A hummingbird built a nest on my patio lights and laid 2 tiny eggs. The post included a delicate little nest perched atop a string light, with another photo showing the mama bird cozily sitting on her glowing perch. What happened next turned into a heartwarming trend. People from all over began chiming in with their own stories and photos of hummingbirds nesting on their patio lights. Turns out this is a thing. The tiny birds are apparently drawn to the safety and warmth of string lights, often building their nests right on top of them. And while it may be unexpected, it's incredibly adorable. Social media users quickly filled the comments with their own snapshots. It's a sweet reminder of how nature often finds the coziest and most surprising places to settle in, and how sharing one small moment can create a whole thread of joy.
I'm going to go check my patio lights. That's the first thing I thought when I got to look. Do I have any hummingbirds on them?
You ever seen a hummingbird?
I have not.
It's the only thing that can sit on a pinhead. They're really tiny.
All right.
I take with you Psalm 120, verse 1. In my distress, I called to the Lord. And guess what? And he answered me. There's a promise for you today. Psalm 120, verse 1. We'll be right back.
Your property demands equipment with more reliability, durability, and versatility built in. Kubota equipment is ready to get the job done right.
Combining your home and auto insurance could save you time and money. And who doesn't like that? When you want surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life, call State Farm agent Rory Wold in Medford today.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Where big ideas grow.
With the words, "Behold, a sower went out to sow," Jesus begins the legendary Matthew 13 parable of the sower about God's word and draws attention to the need for good soil in order to bear fruit. This question of good soil motivates and challenges every Christian parent. Can good soil be nurtured in the lives of our children? A similar question was asked by the ancient Greeks concerning virtue. Drawing upon classical traditions like the trivium and the liberal arts, classical Christian schools are coming alongside Christian parents to do just that, nurture good soil and virtue. Now in our 8th year serving Jackson County, Knox Academy, the Rogue Valley's own K-12 classical Christian school, is relocating to downtown Medford in order to better assist parents as they educate their children. We are currently enrolling students for the 25-26 school year. Visit us at knoxmedford.com for more information. Invest in a future with a strong connection to the past for good soil, deep roots, and fruit at knoxmedford.com.
The full force of the collision was right on my neck. I'd hit the steering wheel right at my voice box and airway. It became very difficult to breathe very quickly. And I could feel it tightening up, and I could feel my airway starting to close. That was the time that you really cry out to God and say, you know, I can't do this, and I'm gonna need you.
Watch the 700 Club Tuesday morning at 11 on the Dove TV.
The Dove TV, encouraging and informative with Focus Today, weekdays. Well, good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Tuesday. Here it is, the 10th of June. Hard to believe that already. And that is Jerry Bilden right there. If you've ever wondered what he looks like, there it is. The mask is off.
Good morning.
And that's just the way it is around here. Pray for me.
Where the chips fell. That's right.
Anyway, good morning to you. Happy Tuesday. A ton in the news. We'll get to that. The weather is actually going to cool down 1 degree at a time, but it is on the backside of the hot day yesterday. We had some buildups yesterday, thunder buildups, and it huffed and puffed, but it didn't see any lightning, thank the Lord.
Yeah.
It was really threatening. So anyway, we'll keep an eye on that for you. Anything special today?
Well, it is National Forklift Safety Day, and you know what?
Forklift Safety Day.
Yeah, you know, that's probably something they really have to pay attention to at Costco. Do you realize that there is nothing on the Costco floor that isn't on a pallet?
Yeah, but do you ever see them drive their forklift around there?
No, why?
Okay, so they have this entourage of people that follow it, so you can't get close to it.
Oh, yeah.
And
okay.
then when they're down an aisle,
right,
they block
the aisle.
Yeah.
Now, I have seen that,
Yeah.
yes. And I'm like, hey, I need something. I need something down there.
Have a nice day. Wait till we get done doing our job.
Be careful out there. And if you have any doubts about why forklift safety is important, go look up forklift fails on YouTube. Oh my goodness, you can't believe what people get into on forklifts. All right.
I've done a couple of them.
Oh man.
And I don't like getting anything above my head.
Right. And you know what happens is you're in these big warehouses and they're all over their head, and one thing comes down and it's like dominoes.
Yeah.
Stuff just starts coming. So be safe out there. It's also National Call Your Doctor Day, and hopefully it's not after you had a forklift accident.
Yeah.
But
Hello, Doc, you okay? Okay.
This is really about annual well woman exams. So take note of that, but especially if you're struggling with something, don't be afraid to call your doctor. It's also National Egg Roll Day. Restaurants around the country have perfected their own versions of the egg roll with a variety of finely chopped ingredients, of course, pork, shrimp, cabbage, onions, bamboo shoots, water chestnuts, seasonings all rolled into one, and then, of course, deep fried. You know, even my broken leg boot is probably good if it's deep fried.
Well, you know, we're going to deep fry it when you get out of it. We're going to preserve it so when you die, we're going to put your ashes in it and go bury it at the top of Mount Ashland.
They're going to have to sort through my ashes because there's going to be a bunch of screws and plates.
Yeah, that's all right.
And all titanium. Titanium doesn't melt, does it?
I don't think so.
I don't think that goes down. So anyway,
but we'll have to sneak up there in the middle of the night and drill a hole and put you in there.
Put me in the bowl. Put me right under chute 3 or 4. I'm good with that. All right. Also, National Herbs and Spices Day. It's also National Frosted Cookie Day.
Okay.
You know, those little animal cookies with the pink and the white and little sprinkles on them too and stuff. And then a big glass of
Hurry up, get one before RFK does.
Enjoy that. National Iced Tea Day.
All right.
It is one of summer's favorite refreshing drinks. And did you know iced tea is the second most popular beverage in the world, following water?
Really?
And the oldest tea remains date to around 453 BC. archaeologists found tea remains in the royal tomb in Shandong province. And in 1904, the modern version of iced tea really took off. It was the World's Fair in St. Louis. A tea merchant planned on selling hot tea, and of course the weather didn't cooperate. It got really hot, so he had one of those brilliant moves. He thought, well, how about ice, and I'll pour it over. It was the first time anybody in this country really went after iced tea, and it took off. People loved it.
You ever have green iced tea?
I have not. You know, I've
It's really
had
good.
green tea, but I haven't had green iced tea.
It's got a little zap to it.
Okay.
But my favorite is Arnold Palmer's, and which is iced tea and lemonade.
And lemonade, yeah.
Yeah, and I always, when I order, I said I want a little bit more Arnold than I do Palmer. And I kind of go,
So is Arnold the lemonade?
No,
Or is
Arnold,
it the tea?
Arnold's. If I understand correctly, the first time he did this, they had a video of him coming into the clubhouse after playing golf, and he went over with his glass, and he went first to the iced tea. Well, he got some ice, and he went and got to the iced tea, and then he went over and put some lemonade in it. And that was his practice. He'd come in and he'd do that, and of course the drink got named after him, called the Arnold Palmer. Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
By the way, Snapple now makes it.
You know, that makes sense. That really does.
And you can get it with 0 sugar.
Oh.
But I never did figure out if Snapple tea is real tea.
Oh, wait a minute. Now I'm getting. What would it be?
I don't know. I'm just asking the question.
Okay, there's our question for the day. So
Okay.
instead, we'll have a National Black Cow Day.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, it is a delicious ice cream float beverage known as a root beer float. Now, I guess this one's a little variation on it, but there is the root beer. And you mentioned, it's a good way to start it. Put a little bit of root beer in first.
Yeah, then the ice cream.
Yeah.
Then the root beer at the top, because that's where the foam comes in.
There you go. Oh.
Now, what you may want to do is you get that Henry Weinhardt root beer.
Yeah.
Because it has a little vanilla in it.
Oh, does it? Okay.
It just kind of gives a little.
Okay. Well, enjoy that. We got plenty to eat today. Okay, let's talk about chins. A strong chin, a square chin, a dimpled chin. Chins come in many forms, but they only come to humans. Because in spite of the fact that we share other body parts, with other animals like eyes, nose, mouth, ears, hands, legs, so forth, we are the only animals that have chins. So, which is kind of unusual. So why would God give only humans chins? Well, it might have something to do with this.
You got to be kidding me. How'd they film that?
How did they? Yeah,
I don't know. So for those watching on the Dove radio, these are 2 upside down chins.
Eyeballs on the top of the chin. Yeah.
They're singing. There you go. Okay.
Staying alive, baby.
One of those has to be Jay Leno.
Oh man, yeah.
He was known for his chin, or he is known for his chin.
I found this story on chins,
Yeah.
and so I thought, well, I got to go find some video for this. So I started, human chins and such, and this thing popped up with these guys singing to the Bee Gees, and I thought, that's all I need.
That's all you
Say
need.
no more.
Okay.
So enjoy.
All right. Well, here's a guy with his chinny chin chin doing the weather.
Moving out, and with it, temperatures will start to move down. So today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, mostly sunny with daytime high temperatures in the mid to upper 80s for Vancouver, Portland, Wilsonville, and McMinnville. Continuing down the Willamette Valley with mostly sunny skies in mid-80s for Salem, Albany, and Corvallis. Sunny in Eugene with a high near 87 and a calm wind becoming north-northwest 5 to 7 miles per hour this afternoon. In central Oregon, becoming sunny with a high in the mid-90s in Prineville. Sunny in Bend with a high near 92 and Sun River in the upper 80s. Over in Boise, Idaho, sunny and hot with a high near 98 and a light northwest wind. Along the Oregon coast, mostly sunny with daytime highs in the low to mid-60s for Coos Bay, Port Orford, and Brookings. Early patchy fog before 8 a.m. in Crescent City, otherwise partly sunny with a high near 65. In southern Oregon, sunny, then a chance of thunderstorms with daytime highs in the upper 90s for Grants Pass and Medford and near 92 in Ashland. A chance of thunderstorms in low 90s in the Klamath Basin. Into northern California, sunny, then a chance of thunderstorms in mid-90s in Wairika. Sunny in upper 90s in Redding and low 90s for Chico and Sacramento with a southwest wind gusting up to 21 miles per hour. In the Bay Area, early patchy drizzle, then sunny with highs in the mid to upper 70s for Santa Rosa and Napa. Patchy drizzle, then sunny in mid 60s in San Francisco. And today in San Jose, patchy drizzle, then sunny in low 80s. It's a look at your Tuesday weather on the Dove.
All right, good morning to you. Beautiful shot of southern Oregon, known as the Rogue Valley. We call it our backyard. A few clouds left over from yesterday's huffing and puffing, but that could regather and create some more thunderstorms this afternoon. Be careful out there.
Well, with a mind towards prayer, Dr. Anthony George has encouragement for us this morning.
Well, in Ephesians 3:20, it says, He is able, you know the rest, to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think. And what our great God will do, He will use our circumstances to drive us to Himself. It does not mean that He creates every crisis, but we all must know, surely, He allows every crisis because He's a sovereign God. So whether He generates it and causes it or He allows it, He always wants our response to seek refuge in Him, to turn to Him. Oh, I'm telling you, prayer is what God wants to be our response in times of crisis. And so we think, well, why should I pray? I'll tell you why we pray, because God is in control, even though it doesn't look like He is. He's sovereign and the world's going to hell and everything's spinning out of control. If you notice that, it just seems like I have to detox from watching the news and following all the things that are going on. I just have to get back and say, in a world that's lost its way and is out of control, I just want to focus on the God who's still in control. That's what matters more than anything else.
Well, there you go. Okay, good stuff. Thank you, Dr. Anthony George. All right, 10 and a half past the hour. Let's take a look at some of the top stories for you today. And this is kind of interesting. As we speak, they're speaking in London with what's going on with China and the United States, trying to put together some kind of a trade deal. And this has primarily to do with rare earth minerals and, of course, technology is the center of the talks. This is all a result of the President Trump talking to President Xi and coming together. So they have agreed that their various teams, Secretary of the Treasury, and will be heading over there. I don't know what that's. I guess they're. Oh, there they are. Okay. Anyway, they went into conferences yesterday. They'll be the next couple of days. We'll see what comes of this.
Yeah, and I imagine
this could be a calming down effect a little bit.
It might, and I'm sure that there are some folks on Wall Street who are really eyeballing what's going on over there. Maybe we'll find out a little bit later if it's having any influence.
We'll keep an eye on that one. Well, the big story is the mess in Southern California as rioters continue, and this is absolutely crazy. The president did send in 2,000 National Guard, but now he's sending in the Marines. This escalated through the night and into this morning. This is out of control, and this is the worst thing you could have happen in Southern California and Los Angeles. Where's the mayor? Where's the governor? The only response they have is President Trump is responsible for this. This is all a result of ICE going in and deporting people that have a rap sheet that is so bad that you can't believe it. And yet we're not hearing about the people they deported and how bad they are and why these people are protesting to keep them here.
Right.
So anyway, this is getting worse. There is a little bit of rumor that this will continue to escalate, hopefully to damage the president's military parade that he wants to hold on the 14th.
Sure.
We'll see. And they're calling for nationwide demonstration. I have a couple of questions here. Number one, where are the leadership of this area? This is all in the shadow of the Palestine fires.
Yeah.
This is just absolutely crazy. Secondly, who are the protesters? Have we identified these people? Okay. Some are Free the Palestinians. Some are Hispanics. You see the Mexican flag being waved a lot, but you wonder if that really are the illegals. Who are these people?
Yeah.
So anyway, this is really bad. Haven't heard of any deaths yet, but a lot of destruction. They're burning cars, burning buildings, doing things. And so when the feds come in, it's to protect federal property. And apparently that's how they're doing this
That's
legally.
exactly it. And that's what the troops are coming in for, is to protect federal facilities. But isn't it interesting what Democrats will label an insurrection and what they will label mostly peaceful protests?
I couldn't believe what you're saying until I went online yesterday and looked at it.
Mm-hmm.
And as you know, you'll take a story like this and you go around through the networks to see how it's being covered.
Right.
I could not believe my ears and my eyes to hear people saying this is peaceful.
Yeah, I know.
I said, what in the world are you watching?
Yes.
And what are you trying to convey here? I mean, it all started with Governor Newsom saying this is nothing more than a sports celebration after winning the Super Bowl.
Right. You know what?
This is not this at all.
There was a news anchor in L.A. yesterday who was saying that the approach by law enforcement was the wrong approach because these people were just people out enjoying watching cars burn. Literally, he said that they were just out enjoying watching cars burn.
Well,
are you kidding me? Who set those cars on fire?
Well, this is lawlessness. All you got to do is read. If you start reading Proverbs seriously, the book of wisdom, you'll see God's take on lawlessness.
Mm-hmm.
And this is lawlessness on steroids. And the only thing I can say is we'll see where this goes, but it's not good.
Yeah,
it's not good. So here comes the Marines, and we'll see how this all plays out today.
Boy.
This is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
In the meantime, Tom Homan, as you know, who has been Trump's border czar, he weighed in yesterday and said, the least the governor can do, and Governor Newsom can do, and Los Angeles Mayor Bass can do, is thank the president for sending in people to calm this down.
Yeah.
But no, they're hanging in there. Anyway, here's what Holman had to say.
We got to bring safety to this town. And what angers me the most, Greta, people aren't looking at the facts. ICE has arrested significant public safety threats the last few days in LA. We arrested a murderer, a Vietnamese national who murdered teenagers at a graduation party. We arrested several sexual predators, child sexual predators. We arrested people convicted of armed robbery. We arrested people for domestic violence and all sorts of public safety threats. ICE made the LA, Los Angeles, a lot safer in the last couple of days. Governor Newsom and Mayor Bass should be thanking ICE for taking these public safety threats off the streets.
Well, they're not thanking them. They're blaming them.
Mm-hmm.
But what's interesting to me is that neither the governor or the mayor has shown anything else. Why aren't they out there backing their police?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Because they would rather attack the president than back their police.
It's hard to believe that nonsense is this.
Right, and there seems to be only one Democrat right now that has some voice of reason and all that, and that's Pennsylvania's John Fetterman. He said, imagine. He said, I unapologetically stand for free speech, peaceful demonstration, and immigration, but this is not that. This is anarchy and true chaos. My party loses the moral high ground when we refuse to condemn setting cars on fire, destroying buildings, and assaulting law enforcement. He's got it right. Are they going to boot him out?
Went from a peaceful demonstration to almost an insurrection, and you got to ask yourself, okay, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And why can't the left condemn burning cars and buildings?
Right, and attacking officers. Right.
Why is it justified?
Yeah.
So anyway,
it's their side.
I'm not saying this because this is my wish. I think if you just look at it this pragmatically, this is toast for Governor Newsom's future.
Yeah. Yes.
And now, don't get me wrong. I don't think it stops him from trying.
Right.
But this will be hung on him for a long time to come. Yeah. All right. Well, in spite of that, root beer floats.
Yeah.
And egg rolls. And that's a good lunch.
Yeah.
You think about it. You have a couple of egg rolls dipped in, I like the sweet sauce.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
With a root beer float?
Yeah. Why not?
Voila. We'll be right back.
Since 1987, Four Seasons Nursery has been the gold standard in the green industry here in Southern Oregon. Tim Elbert and his friendly staff continue to offer the best plants and most accurate knowledge to create your dream landscape. At Four Seasons Nursery on Crater Lake Avenue, you can let your imagination run wild with a huge selection of all things plant and gardening for both inside and outside beautification. Whether it's a flower for your windowsill, one of our beautifully renowned signature hanging baskets, or a complete landscape design for your entire property, Four Seasons Nursery can help you every step of the way with design services, workshops, and more. Let your imagination run wild as you immerse yourself in their nursery filled with beauty that knows no bounds. Four Seasons Nursery, 5736 Crater Lake Avenue, 5736 Crater Lake Avenue, 1/2 mile north of Vilas Road, 541-779-5603, 541-779-5603. Clean water is essential to your good health. Ultra Pure Purified Water has been delivering purified, healthy drinking water to the Rogue Valley since 1995. Locally owned and family run, Ultra Pure Purified Water uses a multi-stage process ensuring your delivery of water is 99.8% pure, so your family stays hydrated and healthy. Online at ultrapurewaterinc.com or call 541-734-0828. 541-734-0828.
Big ideas grow.
Okay, good morning. Happy Tuesday to you. As you know, the Oregon legislature is in session, so as I always say, hold on to your wallet. And for quite some time, one of the concerns in the state of Oregon, what's going on with the Department of Transportation, it seems to have been plagued with a lot of problems. A lot of money goes in there, little results. There's been some accountability problems. There's just a lot about the ODOT that people are asking questions about. So they're trying to figure out, what do we do? Infrastructure, things that need to be fixed, bridges, and the list goes on and on and on. And a good friend of ours, Senator Bruce Starr, was leading a campaign to figure out how to take care of this problem. And they worked weeks negotiating a transportation funding proposal with a majority of the Democrats. And then all of a sudden, yesterday, the Republicans involved in that, especially our friend Senator Bruce Starr, all of a sudden said, no, we're not going to vote for this because the Democrats got a hold of it and want to turn it into a big tax deal. Now, folks, let me just say, I don't know what's going on with ODOT. I hear a lot of rumors. That's all they are, is rumors to me until you can prove it. But we know it has problems. We know it has management problems, funding problems, scheduling problems. The list goes on and on and on. Okay, accountability problem. Here's the problem. Here's the big problem. You tax gas and you're going to ruin commerce.
Yeah.
You can't put another 20 cents a gallon on Oregonians and call this, well, we're going to fix ODOT. Something else has to happen. You tax gas and you just killed commerce. Why don't you understand this?
They don't care. And they don't care because it's part of their agenda to move us all towards EVs.
You know, I sit on a citizen committee here at the airport, and I'm honored to do that, and I have done it for years, and I really enjoy doing it because it does put my fingers into county and city life and things and commerce and all that. And the only thing I can say is this: we're looking at growing the airport, and the airport's growing, and our little Southern Valley here has got so much to offer. Our medical community is great. Our retail community, the recreation is the best in the world. We have so much to offer companies to move here. And they come in here and they see the corporate tax rate, and now 20 cents a gallon. You know, this is absolutely crazy. And we offer everything that a company would move their staff to be here. Families want to live here. But if they can't get a good job because the company doesn't move here and the arena company doesn't come here, is we got a legislature that's almost anti-business.
Exactly right.
And it's just crazy.
There's a reason why West Coast gas prices are significantly different than so many other places across the country.
We are high.
Yes.
And you know, sitting on the airport committee, this airport is booming. And it's one of the prerequisites of a company moving. Do they have access to the airways to get in and out to go do business around the world?
Okay. Yeah.
We have a lot of flights to go here and go there. I mean, it's growing. It's doing a great job. But the thing of it is that when you put 20 cents a gallon on gas, why don't you just stop and do a full-blown audit on ODOT and see what the problem is instead of throwing money at it?
Yeah. And it's not that they're putting 20 cents on gas. They're just putting another 20 cents on gas.
And these are people that have never made a payroll. They don't know what it is to run a business. Okay, so much for that gripe. Let's take a look at Wall Street. Wall Street. Thank you, Preston, over there with Smart Lawn, and thank you to his lovely wife that has the ice cream shop over there at Twin Creeks Ice Cream. All right, anyway, the Dow's off a whopping 12 points, 13 points, not too bad. The Nasdaq went the other way. It's up 56, and the S&P up 11. So mixed bag this morning. That's not good news or bad news. The gold's still up, 33.67. I can't believe silver, 36, almost $37. Wow. Oh, crude oil bumped a buck, 64.29. That's I don't get this. I
don't either. Cheapest.
I don't understand. You go to the Midwest and you get out into the east side, the eastern part of the country. You're talking around $2 a gallon.
Yeah. Well, basically, you know what you're talking. You're talking the difference between blue states and red states. I mean, that's just the way it goes. Red states are thriving right now.
All right, so it brings up something.
Okay.
I have no idea what I'm about to say means.
Okay.
So that's my disclaimer.
All right.
I don't want to offend anybody because I don't know what it means.
I got my seatbelt on.
Okay,
Let's
I'm
go.
driving in this morning, and I'm behind this truck, and they had this picture of a rhino on it.
What?
Yeah. And you know what the name of the company was?
What?
Think about this. Blue Rhino.
Blue Rhino. What's their business?
I have no idea. but think about it. A blue rhino.
You know, that makes sense, actually, when you think about it, doesn't it?
I'm looking at this.
You know, that really does. Now that I'm thinking about it in political terms.
Wait a minute. Is that the new term for rhinos? They're blue?
Blue Rhino.
Do you have any idea what the Blue Rhino Company is?
I would have no idea.
All I know, it was a long truck. It looks like it was delivering beer or something. It was one of those trucks. It was delivering some kind of... So is there a Blue Rhino beer or something?
Wow, propane.
Oh, it's propane. Oh, is that what it is? Well, that even makes it better because it's full of gas.
Oh, yes!
Oh, I really stepped in there. Okay, take it away.
Great.
Get me.
Oh, my word! Now I got to get serious here.
I had no idea.
Oh, my goodness!
I plead ignorance.
Oh, that is wonderful. I just wish we could go to a break right now. Okay.
Thanks, Pom, for bailing me out.
That was cool.
Thank God it wasn't a beer. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. U.S. Ambassador to Israel Mike Huckabee sat down with Zach Anders, and he discussed foreign students in the U.S. and the Boulder, Colorado Molotov cocktail incident. Let's listen in.
People who come to the United States as a visitor are there under the privilege, not the right to be there. Nobody has a right to be in someone else's country. I don't have a right to go anywhere in the world and say, I want to come and denounce your country, denounce what you do and stand for. They'll send me out of there in a heartbeat, anywhere in the world. I hear people talk about constitutional right of free speech. I have that as an American citizen, but someone who comes there, who is not a citizen of the United States, does not have the right to say things that not only are hurtful, but that are dangerous to Jewish people, or for that matter, to anybody. And when you see these people who pretend to be students, but they're really just agitators, and they're seeking to create a level of disruption to a university, to a community, and they're inciting violence, you bet we ought to send them home. Absolutely. I'm proud that the U.S. is taking a no-tolerance policy toward this nonsense, because this past weekend, when the guy in Boulder, Colorado threw Molotov cocktails at mostly older people, you know, one of the people critically injured was a Holocaust survivor, for God's sake. Think about that. She survived the Holocaust, comes to America to live in peace, is at a peaceful rally, and this guy attempts to murder her by burning her up with a Molotov cocktail. Does this guy deserve to stay in the United States? No. And anyone who thinks so is a very sick person.
Wow.
You know, what we're seeing here is, if you can back away from all the emotions of it, there's something very biblical. Ecclesiastes deals with this. Justice delayed is no justice. You should quickly bring justice to these wrongdoers and apply the consequence. And in this case, it would be deportation. The problem with our judicial system, you can commit a crime, and you're going to be caught up in the court system for years before you're ever tried.
Right.
Therefore, there's really no fear of the consequences of doing something wrong.
Yeah.
So you have to bring in the National Guard and the Marines to correct it.
And imagine that. This woman survived the Holocaust and gets set on fire in California in that incident.
I'll tell you what, if you ever go to Washington, D.C., but if you ever go to Israel, go to the Holocaust Memorial Museum. People are talking, you go in, and nobody is talking when they come out.
Right. And I mentioned California. It wasn't California. It was Boulder, Colorado.
Yeah.
But speaking of California, boy, UC Berkeley is being blasted now. Remember UC Berkeley, the birth of the free speech movement in the 60s?
Yeah, now
Listen, Berkeley's blasted for creating Jewish-free zones on campus with pro-Israel speakers banned on campus.
Well,
it's stunning.
Okay, I mean, the simple thing about higher education, defund it. Our tax dollars shouldn't go there.
We see a little bit of that starting, don't we? Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you know.
You know what? Blue Rhino.
Okay, I'm glad I know what it is. 'Cause I'm driving by this truck early in the morning. It's kind of dark, and I'm looking at that, and I go, you know what it looks? I thought it was a Bud Light truck.
Okay.
That's what it looked like. And I drove by there, and I looked at that, and I go, well, what's a Blue Rhino?
Blue Rhino. Oh, that is too funny.
And my mind's going political.
Of course. Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah.
I thought, well, that's a new way of saying it. We used to just call rhinos rhinos.
Right.
Now they're blue. Blue rhinos. I go,
Makes sense, too, doesn't it?
To find out they're full of gas. We'll be right back.
Your yard is where life happens, but it can be muddy and hard to maintain. Enjoy a maintenance-free artificial turf lawn all year round with Smart Lawn LLC. No mowing, no fertilizing, no watering. Our synthetic grass is beautiful and resilient. It's certified to be lead-free, and there's no need for pesticides. Safe for your children and pets. Smart Lawn LLC has all your artificial turf and putting green areas covered beautifully. 541-941-3538.
With the words, "Behold, a sower went out to sow," Jesus begins the legendary Matthew 13 parable of the sower about God's word and draws attention to the need for good soil in order to bear fruit. This question of good soil motivates and challenges every Christian parent. Can good soil be nurtured in the lives of our children? A similar question was asked by the ancient Greeks concerning virtue. Drawing upon classical traditions like the trivium and the liberal arts, classical Christian schools are coming alongside Christian parents to do just that, nurture good soil and virtue. Now in our 8th year serving Jackson County, Knox Academy, the Rogue Valley's own K-12 classical Christian school, is relocating to downtown Medford in order to better assist parents as they educate their children. We are currently enrolling students for the 25-26 school year. Visit us at knoxmedford.com for more information. Invest in a future with a strong connection to the past for good soil, deep roots, and fruit at knoxmedford.com.
Put your gold in an envelope, mail it. Hopefully you get a check. No. Father and son jewelry, bring your gold in. We weigh it, we check it, we make you the offer.
Or turn your something old into something new. Whether it's an idea, a picture, or a piece you want to duplicate, we can melt it down and make it for you.
If you find your perfect piece in store, trade your something old for something new, and you always get a little extra.
Visit Father and Son Jewelry, 5 generations of family in Medford.
Good morning to you. Happy Tuesday. and a tad cooler. What, 5 degrees today?
About, yeah.
Yeah, we're working our way down,
Yeah.
and we work our way back up and all that stuff going on. So that's kind of what's going on out there. But how are you with spiritual discernment?
You know,
you ever walk into a situation and your spirit's kind of jumping up inside you?
Yeah, you know.
You ever feel like that? You ever feel like, uh-oh, something's not right here?
Yep.
What is that?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, we're going to talk about that with Todd Friel coming up.
Oh, boy. Thanks for the warning.
That's what I'm telling you.
I like it.
You might want to put your blue rhino hat on.
I can't wait.
No, but I want to say this carefully because I really think I've seen the misuse of this. But are you spiritually discerning? And do you ever respond to it? Is your spirit telling you something inside of you saying, don't do this? Or something is leading you to do this against all odds?
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about spiritual discernment coming up. All right. In the meantime, let's check in with CBN News Watch.
This is CBN News Watch.
It's Tuesday, June 10th, going to begin this half hour in the Middle East as President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu spoke about Iran again and the deadline for a nuclear deal approaching. All of that as Israel faces the possible crisis which could bring the government down. CBN News Middle East correspondent Julie Stahl brings us the story now. She's reporting from Jerusalem.
President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu spoke on the phone Monday as U.S. talks with Iran over its nuclear weapons program continue, but with little progress.
We discussed a lot of things, and it went very well, very smooth. We'll see what happens.
Trump's 2-month deadline for Iran to agree to stop its program for developing nuclear weapons runs out this week.
They are good negotiators, but they're tough. Sometimes they can be too tough. That's the problem. So we're trying to make a deal so that there's no destruction and death. And we've told them that, and I've told them that, and I hope that's the way it works out, but it might not work out that way.
The Iranians claim their nuclear program is for civilian nuclear power. The International Atomic Energy Agency is now revealing that 20 years ago, Iran carried out implosion tests that are only needed in developing atomic bombs and have no civilian use. The Iranian regime is threatening retaliation if the IAEA censures its nuclear program or if Israel launches military strikes against Iran's nuclear sites. They also warned an Israeli strike on their nuclear facilities would spur them on to develop atomic bombs.
The Islamic Republic of Iran has prepared a series of steps and measures. The other side is more or less aware of our capabilities and capacities in this regard.
America's new ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, told CBN News that Trump means what he says.
I don't know that we take Iran at its word. They normally don't keep theirs very well in the 46 years that they've ruled that country. But I would take President Trump very seriously when he says they will not have a nuclear weapon.
Israel is also facing trouble from within. Ultra-Orthodox parties of Netanyahu's ruling coalition are threatening to bring down the government. The issue is legislation that would force many ultra-Orthodox to serve in the military like the majority of young Israeli men. For decades, they've been exempt from military service by replacing it with religious study. Huckabee was pulled into the controversy when ultra-Orthodox parties asked to meet with him, sparking criticism from the opposition. He says both sides need to work out a plan, and it's not for the U.S. to intervene. However, a collapsed government would not look good.
It would create an extraordinary sense of anxiety because it will be viewed as instability.
In Gaza, some Palestinians continue to accuse Israeli troops of attacking Gazans seeking aid, but provide no evidence. Meanwhile, the new Israeli and American program to provide millions of meals to feed them continues.
Israel has delivered over 1,200 truckloads in the last 2 weeks.
Julie Stahl, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Our CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell is joining us now from Jerusalem. So, Chris, let's begin with Iran. They're threatening retaliation if the International Atomic Energy Agency censures the nuclear program or if Israel launches a strike against them. How could they strike back?
Well, they could strike back, and as Julie said in her report, they're actually warning they're going to develop a nuclear bomb if they attack those sites. which is kind of ironic. But right now they could respond with ballistic missiles, drones, UAVs, but also, Ephraim, they failed twice last year. They had attacks. I was through both of them, and many people went to bomb shelters, but most, I would say almost 99% of all those projectiles failed. And right now, their proxies around Israel, it was called the Ring of Fire, are pretty much decimated. That would include Hamas, Hezbollah, and even the Houthis. And so right now, we seem to be at a tipping point, and the negotiations over Iran's nuclear program, concerns are heating up. As Julie said in her report, Netanyahu held a 40-minute phone call with President Trump. And also, President Trump met with his top foreign policy officials at Camp David. So right now, it seems to be at loggerheads. They're just undecided. The loggerheads mean that Iran is saying they insist they have to enrich uranium, and President Trump is saying they can't.
What will be the U.S. role if or when Israel strikes Iran? Do we know if Israel would act alone, or would the U.S. and possibly other countries get involved?
Well, we don't know for sure right now, Ephraim. I'm sure that was the subject of the phone call with President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu. So right now, Israel's best scenario would be a joint campaign that the U.S. could participate in. They have military hardware, bunker-busting bombs that would really make a big damage or large damage to Iran's nuclear facilities. If not, if they don't join the whole campaign, perhaps they can provide logistical support, intelligence, maybe air refueling. And to find out what nations in the area would help in the region, you'd have to look at the nations that helped Israel last year when Iran did attack. That would include Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and they were the ones that helped assist and knock down many of those projectiles and UAVs and drones that were fired by Iran. So there are limits to what Iran can do, it seems, even with their bluster.
Okay, see what happens. But it looks like they're heading to the crossroads here, and every day it's getting a little closer. Mm-hmm. Negotiations seem to have been stalled, and so what's left is obvious. Yeah. How that's carried out is yet to be seen. Mm-hmm. All right, good morning to you. Well, listen, he has an interesting chin. Does the weather here.
A ridge of high pressure that's been over our region is moving out, and with it, temperatures will start to move down. So today in northern Oregon and southern Washington, mostly sunny with daytime high temperatures in the mid to upper 80s for Vancouver, Portland, Wilsonville, and McMinnville. Continuing down the Willamette Valley with mostly sunny skies in mid-80s for Salem, Albany, and Corvallis. Sunny in Eugene with a high near 87 and a calm wind becoming north-northwest 5 to 7 miles per hour this afternoon. In central Oregon, becoming sunny with a high in the mid-90s in Prineville, sunny in Bend with a high near 92 and Sun River in the upper 80s. Over in Boise, Idaho, sunny and hot with a high near 98 and a light northwest wind. Along the Oregon coast, mostly sunny with daytime highs in the low to mid-60s for Coos Bay, Port Orford, and Brookings. Early patchy fog before 8 a.m. in Crescent City, otherwise partly sunny with a high near 65. In southern Oregon, sunny, then a chance of thunderstorms with daytime highs in the upper 90s for Grants Pass and Medford and near 92 in Ashland. A chance of thunderstorms in low 90s in the Klamath Basin. Into northern California, sunny, then a chance of thunderstorms in mid-90s in Wairika. Sunny in upper 90s in Redding and low 90s for Chico and Sacramento with a southwest wind gusting up to 21 miles per hour. In the Bay Area, early patchy drizzle, then sunny with highs in the mid to upper 70s for Santa Rosa and Napa. Patchy drizzle, then sunny in mid-60s in San Francisco. And today in San Jose, patchy drizzle, then sunny in low 80s. It's a look at your Tuesday weather on the Dove.
All right, good morning to you. Happy Tuesday. A lot going on out there this morning.
Well, I got a bit of interesting trivia on presidential information and history, because it was on this day in history that the language coming from a pet parrot got the parrot removed from an ex-president's funeral. Check this out.
It was a solemn day. Statesman, war hero, and former President Andrew Jackson was being laid to rest. Mourners gathered at his estate, the Hermitage, beneath heavy skies and heavy hearts. But amidst the reverent hush, a raucous voice shattered the stillness. Not from a man, but from a bird. Jackson's beloved African gray parrot, Pole, had been brought indoors for the ceremony. Known for mimicking his master's colorful language, Pole began screeching a shocking string of profanities echoing through the halls of mourning. Eyewitness William Menifee Normand later wrote, "Before the sermon and while the crowd was gathering, a wicked parrot that was a household pet got excited and commenced swearing so loud and long as to disturb the people. The clergymen were aghast. Mourners stifled laughter and gasps alike. Pole, still shrieking obscenities, had to be forcibly removed. In the end, the parrot that once entertained a president stole the spotlight at his funeral, a final unintentional tribute from a feathered friend who knew his master's tongue all too well."
Kids and parrots.
You know, anybody get a recording of that?
Well, one guy wrote it down, boy. They let us know, so pretty interesting.
Okay, so it's kind of like this next story. All right, so you had a parrot that outed the dead president.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
Well, guess what? Your naive social media postings can come back to haunt you. And Pastor Jack Hibb has a pretty strong warning on that for you this morning.
You're not always going to be the age that you are right now. You might be 14 years old right now using social media. And because you don't have the moral capacity, you don't have the ethical capacity, I'm not knocking you. You just simply don't have it yet. At 14 years of age, you actually don't need it yet. But you don't have the moral rudder or the ethical foundation of a 30-year-old. And so you'll post something or you'll say something. I love Jesus. He's my all in all. And then you're over here on Facebook or TikTok or Snapchat or whatever, and you're just tearing somebody apart. Oh man, you know what? They this and this, and I hope they drop dead and blah, 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 and they make me sick and blah, 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 blah. That's there forever. And you've taken the Lord's name in vain. Please go back to your bio and erase everything about the Lord. Just erase him off of your bio or off of your, if you have a cross around your neck on your profile photo, please get a new photo and have a new photo without the cross. It's so serious. Do not take the Lord's name in vain. Do not misrepresent God and tell people you know who he is and that you love him when your posts, your comments, your actions on the social media platform world betray that statement. Very, very important. Strong, strong things. And the Lord says, I will not hold you guiltless. Wow.
Wow. And the Lord will not be mocked.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Strong, but I think every once in a while we need a little ice water in the face.
Yeah.
That's one for us. Okay. All right. We'll take a quick, what do you call the
Black cow?
Black cow.
Yeah.
We'll take one of those.
The Lennox iComfort S30 thermostat can sense changes in your environment. It even knows when you come and go. So now your home's most important system is also the smartest.
Metal Masters can give you the smartest home comfort system available. It knows when you're away and adjusts when allergens and humidity get uncomfortable. Trust Metal Masters to provide perfect air for your family.
Lennox. Air is life. Make it perfect.
Welcome to Rise Direct Primary Care. Imagine a healthcare experience where you're known by name, cared for like family, and treated with compassion. How is that possible? With an affordable, flat monthly membership, you receive unlimited primary care and minor urgent care visits. No insurance needed. At Rise Direct Primary Care, we offer a friendly, affordable healthcare experience where you get a whole hour with your provider. Located in Central Medford and accessible by phone or text, we can typically get you in the same or next day. We prescribe urgent care medications directly from our office, saving you a trip and wait time at the pharmacy when you'd rather be at home getting better. Personalized medical care with a human touch. Rise Direct Primary Care is all about healing the sick with compassion and keeping the healthy healthy. Rise Direct Primary Care. We're here for you. Visit risehealthdpc.com or call or text us 541-827-8603. 541-827-8603.
The Dove TV is encouraging and informative, and your place to see Transformed, a groundbreaking series that takes you behind closed doors to witness biblical counseling with real people facing real issues. Transformed reveals how lives are changed through Scripture. No issue is taken off the table. Join Dr. Greg Gifford and see lives transformed from brokenness to wholeness. Watch Mondays and Thursdays only on the Dove TV.
Welcome back. Happy Tuesday to you as the temperature is back down a little bit, which we welcome that. Could have some still thunder bumpers in the afternoon, so be careful. We had a huffing and puffing yesterday, but thank the Lord I didn't see any lightning, so that's a good thing. At least I didn't. I don't know if there was
I don't
any.
think we got any.
Yeah, good stuff all the way around. Well, I can't say enough and have bragged about the impact that Samaritan Purse has all over the world. I think they are the premier first responders to disaster zones all over. But they're also very involved all over the world, especially in Israel and what they call the West Bank, which is Judea and Samaria in that area. And the Samaritan's Purse, since October 7th, has supplied Israel, if you can imagine, think about this, bulletproof ambulances.
Yeah.
So the war over there is so bad that the enemy would shoot at an ambulance.
Absolutely. I mean, that just tells you a whole
That tells you a lot, doesn't it? Anyway, but Edward Graham, the son of Franklin, is out and about, and he is in a helicopter and gives us a report.
Just left Jerusalem. We've been flying up the Jordan River Valley just over the West Bank. But these communities were hit up here, and they are often forgot about. But Samaritan's Purse hasn't forgotten about them. We've got some great relationship with local community leaders, churches in the area. We're very thankful for the work and opportunities that we get to have, but these people are hurting. And so today I'm going to go get eyes on myself to see what the team's been involved with. There's a long way to go for healing, and that's why we're here, to let Israel know they're not forgotten about and that God loves them.
Samaritan's Purse with Harvest Church is delivering ambulances throughout Israel in order to support communities like the one I'm in right here. The ambulance we dedicated is coming to this community here. Rockets and missiles came into this community center, and then the skylight above me, they sent a drone in and attacked, and it killed an individual where I'm standing, wounded several others. You can see the shrapnel behind me. But Samaritan's Purse, we're going around the country and we're building ambulance exchange points, and this will be able to house the ambulance, keep the medical staff safe, and then be able to serve these communities. This is a place where the community leaders were just describing the horrors that have happened here. People are still fearful about coming back. So it's about helping these local leaders bring back confidence so people will move back to these areas, but we also want Israel to know they're not forgotten.
Right now I'm flying south, and this is the Gaza Strip just off to my right. And beside this, down the south on the Egyptian border, Hamas came out and attacked the communities there, and there's a local, close Jewish and Arab communities that were attacked. Today I'm going to go see another ambulance exchange point location, and this will help bring security to the community, bring confidence back to those communities to move back. There's still a lot of people displaced here.
I'm in the community in the kibbutz of Nir Oz, and this is where they burned the houses down, they pulled children away from their parents, they murdered babies. I've heard the story of the survivors. You see the pictures of the wall, the photos of those that are no longer here, part of this community, have been killed or are still in captivity. And there's operations, explosions have been happening the whole time I've been touring this village. But the community leaders are rebuilding, and they want to bring people back to this kibbutz this summer and start bringing this community back. And Samaritan's Purse has just committed and agreed to partner with them and helping them with a community clinic and a resilience center. I've walked and talked to some of the survivors, and I've asked, do you have hate in their heart? And they don't. I don't understand that myself as a human, but they love their neighbors and they want peace. But we can't help Israel without you. I ask that you continue to pray for Israel. They need our prayers. They need our support. So thank you. And I appreciate all those that support Samaritan's Purse for being a part of this. I love you very much. Pray for Israel.
Isn't that amazing?
That is, yeah.
It really is. It's gosh, I just can't say enough. By the way, if you're in a season of life where you're moving from success to significance, you know, you've done your thing, and you want to do something that really impacts people, you can go to the Samaritan's Purse website and check out how they will take you as a volunteer and train you. Maybe you're already a dentist or a doctor or something like that. They can use the people like that during your retirement age. Whatever you want to do, but I know people that have joined them and have slowly been trained and now are leaders in various things, no matter where. So think about that, and of course support them. They do a wonderful, wonderful job. Yeah. All right, coming up, Todd Friel will be with us talking about spiritual discernment.
All right.
We'll see where this goes.
Well,
I'm already having a discerning spirit of that. I should do this interview.
You never know quite where it'll go.
I'm having that discernment.
All right. Well, you know, we look at social media and we see some unusual things out there at times, some stuff that you want to stay away from. But then something catches your eye that's kind of cute, and here's a case in point. As a charming social media trend has started, and it started out very small.
It started with one charming photo and a simple caption. A hummingbird built a nest on my patio lights and laid 2 tiny eggs. The post included a delicate little nest perched atop a string light, with another photo showing the mama bird cozily sitting on her glowing perch. What happened next turned into a heartwarming trend. People from all over began chiming in with their own stories and photos of hummingbirds nesting on their patio lights. Turns out, this is a thing. The tiny birds are apparently drawn to the safety and warmth of string lights, often building their nests right on top of them. And while it may be unexpected, it's incredibly adorable. Social media users quickly filled the comments with their own snapshots. It's a sweet reminder of how nature often finds the coziest and most surprising places to settle in, and how sharing one small moment can create a whole thread of joy.
It's so cool. Do you have patio lights?
Not like that, no.
I do. I haven't checked them. I'm going to check. But we haven't been running them, too. I wonder, is the heat attract them? I mean, because those nests were right on top of a bulb.
Could be. Maybe it helps the hatching of them. I don't know. But hummingbirds, they are fascinating, fascinating creation. So anyway, I've had them land sometimes. You can buy this screen now where you wear this head with the plastic screen, and they have the hummingbird feeders on the end of them.
Yes, I've seen this. Yes.
You talk about something for an old person to do. There you go. Okay, take with you Psalm 120, verse 1. In my distress, I called to the Lord. And guess what? The rest of the scripture. And he answered me. Call on him today. He'll answer you. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Your property demands equipment with more reliability, durability, and versatility built in. Kubota equipment is ready to get the job done right.
Big ideas grow.
Stewardship begins with the knowledge that nothing belongs to us, but everything belongs to the Lord. This helps us to run a business not in the fear of lack, but in the assurance of His care and provision. Such a perspective eliminates the drive to sell and replaces it with a heart that says serve. This begins with serving our clients and coworkers with integrity and genuine care. That's why McKelly's is automotive service with a heart. a heart for God, and treating others as we ourselves would want to be treated. Our promise is to never sell our clients anything we don't believe they need. Another is to do all we can to meet other needs, such as shuttle service and loaner cars, or taking the time to really listen, even at times praying with our customers. Sometimes this means sacrifice, going above and beyond. But that's why I work for Kelly's Automotive Service, honoring God while serving people with honesty and integrity.
Finding that next great series to binge watch is fun, but your neck, shoulders, and body don't count that as me time. Hi, I'm Tamara Miller, owner of Organic Element Spa, and I invite you to put down the remote, get off the couch, and schedule yourself some real me or we time with your favorite service, like one of our many massages, couples massages, or facials. Your health, safety, and comfort are always top priority with us at Organic Element Spa. We can't wait to see you. Book your appointment today.
Experience evangelism like never before.
It's not about finding ourselves. It's not about being true to ourselves. It's about being born again.
Way of the Master's dynamic co-host team delivers captivating witnessing encounters.
That makes you feel uncomfortable because you're doing things you know you shouldn't. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong.
Bold street witnessing that will leave you inspired and equipped to share your faith. Watch Way of the Master Thursdays at 8:30 p.m. and Fridays at 5 on theDove TV. Your watchdog of liberty in the nation's capital. Washington Watch with Tony Perkins. Weeknights on theDove TV. Encouraging and informative. Washington Watch with Tony Perkins is your watchful eye on the nation's capital. Every weeknight, covering current events, issues of faith, family, and freedom from a conservative Christian perspective.
Washington Watch, thanks so much for joining us.
Bringing you up close to newsmakers, members of Congress, and prominent pro-family leaders from across the nation.
That's just the tip of the iceberg of the threats and the dangers that children are facing online.
Tony is the president of the Family Research Council, a former state legislature, ordained minister, police officer, and veteran of the Marine Corps.
Terrorism experts are sounding the alarm.
And welcome to the Washington Watch News Desk.
Washington Watch with Tony Perkins is your leading source for what's really happening in our nation's capital.
Well, this is a state issue. The federal government shouldn't be forcing these states.
Don't miss Washington Watch with Tony Perkins. Weeknights at 6 only on theDove TV. Encouraging and informative. Tackling the tough issues facing America and our nation's freedom. That's Sekolo on theDove TV.
DAs around the country finding who they want to prosecute and then determining what crime they could charge them with.
You can't believe this is the country we're living in, that this is happening.
A bold half hour hosted by ACLJ's Jordan and Logan Sekolo, taking you inside the battle of constitutional and political freedom, discussing issues that matter to you and your family.
This is just not the right precedent we want to be setting, even if we don't like Donald Trump.
This is just all-out chaos, and that's what could happen very soon.
Watch Sekolo for issues that matter to you, addressing the problems of Christian rights in the workplace, school, the marketplace, and protecting human life.
I hope this doesn't have to go all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court.
Be in the know with Sekolo. Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday only on theDove TV. In a world desperately seeking truth, Cliff Connectley and his son Stuart travel across the U.S. to give an answer for questions, doubts, and challenges concerning faith.
What is the evidence that Muhammad spoke the truth? What is the evidence that Jesus Christ spoke the truth?
Their mission is to ignite a passion for truth, guide individuals to embrace faith, and help people find purpose. Engaging skeptics.
It kind of sounds like then that God punished us. The vast majority of chaos in nature is a direct result of God stepping back.
They're driven by a deep commitment for spreading the message of Christ to a world who needs it.
But you see, what Satan has done is he's put doubt in our mind.
Join them as they strive to make a lasting impact on lives and hearts, sharing the love of Jesus with an unwavering dedication.
Because God loves you, and God has given you gifts.
Watch Give Me an Answer, weekdays at 3 on theDove TV.
to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and all ships at sea, cars and trucks up and down Interstate 5, the author, the apologist, the radio and TV host, the legend in his own mind, the executive director of Fortis Institute, the host of Wretched TV and radio, the author of 5 books, and the producer of 24 Bible studies. Here's Todd.
That was like Pauline in its length. You talk about a run-on sentence. Paul's got competition in you. Well done.
Well, you know, and that was just the beginning. How you doing, brother? Good to see you.
How are things in the corner of the country that we all talk about?
Well, okay. And that is?
No, I just typically when we see zany news, it's like it's going to be Los Angeles.
There you go.
Washington or Oregon. Yeah.
So, you know, before I get into this other topic, what do you think's going on down there? I mean, we see anarchy, lawlessness. What's the Todd Friel take?
Well, I want to make sure that I'm Christian in my response, because I know how I tend to respond as American, but I want to put that on the back burner until I figure out, well, does the Bible give us any sort of leading on how we should be viewing these people? And there's a number of complexities, not the least of which is the criminal activity that's taking place. But what should be the Christian mindset about people who enter our country? Now, I think we would all agree, come in legally, and we're like, thumbs up. We're happy to welcome people who want to be there, but there are other people who come in illegally. And there's other issues that the Bible brings forward that I think are important for us to remember. And the key word, I believe, is assimilation. Perry, prepare to repeat after me. We are going to learn some Hebrew together. Are you ready?
Okay.
All right. Say, repeat after me. Say,
repeat after me.
No.
Well.
Yeah. Laurel and Hardy called. They want their routine back. All right. Gur. Say gur.
Gur.
Congratulations. You just used the Hebrew word for sojourner. These are individuals who would come into the country, or perhaps they were even born into the country, who assimilated. They became Jewish. They adopted the culture. Think Ruth as an example. Think Rahab as an example. These were foreigners who said, no, we believe in Yahweh. We want to be a part. This is our nation. This is our God. And the Bible says you welcome those folks. And in the Old Testament, those people had rights. So think of those individuals. The ger sojourners of the Old Testament are people who were legal citizens of the nation. However, you've got another Hebrew word. Are you ready, Perry?
Okay.
Don't you just repeat after me. Nar.
Nar.
All right. Those are individuals who don't assimilate. Not fully. These are individuals who do not have the same rights as the aforementioned Gers. They had some rights. They wouldn't be abused, but they wouldn't have inheritance rights. They wouldn't have land rights, business dealings, etc. Now, they were peaceful individuals, but there were 2 tiers. There were the Gers and there were the Nars. And so these people on the bottom, if you want to use an American comparison, think green card. They're here, but they don't have all of the rights and privileges. Now, you've got the issue, however, of assimilation. And here's where it does get a little bit tricky, because the United States isn't Israel. We're under a different covenant. We're in a different zip code. Nevertheless, we see principles of assimilation, that if people are willing to be a part of the society, they can stay as they contribute to the culture. But if they war against it, well, those people were driven out. And I'm not just talking about the purification of the land because of the Abrahamic covenant. I'm just saying you can't have people who aren't willing to participate in this economy and this culture. And so from the nation of Israel, we can't create an American immigration policy, but we do have principles. Those who want to be here and become a part of contributing to our culture and society, we would say, hey, we should welcome these people as we can. Those who don't want to fully adopt it, well, then they can be here and we can not offer them all the rights and privileges. But if you're not participating and if you're warring against what this is, well, then I'm very sorry. You can't be here because it causes anarchy. So now, with all of that as a backdrop, let's go to Los Angeles. I know that the mainstream media calls these peaceful protests, but I'm seeing a lot of private property set on fire. And I'm also seeing individuals carrying flags from foreign nations. It has all the signs of saying there are people in our midst who don't want to grr. It doesn't even appear that they want to gnar. It appears that they perhaps want the benefits without the assimilation. So from my standpoint, without commenting on borders and walls, immigration policies, babies that are born here, none of that. Just looking at Los Angeles, I would say the government has every right to say, you got to go.
Okay, because there's a couple things here. Those that they're deporting that started all this are really bad people. They kill, they murder, they rape.
You know, okay, so here's immediately, though, what people are thinking about you, Perry. Hey, there are some nice people. They wanted to get away. They work hard. Okay, let's keep our categories clear. The people that you're describing, Perry, the Bible is clear. The government has every, I think, right and even responsibility to not have those people in the culture corrupting it if they're not willing to assimilate. So you look like a big meanie, but I think we have biblical support to say that's just not the way a nation can survive and thrive.
Yeah. Well, a lot to be played out there. We'll have to watch how this goes out. It's kind of interesting. We could talk about it all day, but I do want to lean on your...
Could I add one more thing before you jump to whatever you're leaning on right now?
Yeah, I'm leaning,
right,
but I'll stop leaning.
All of the stuff that I said, yeah, and definitely don't lean to the left, Perry. We don't need you leaning to the left. All of the verses that I was talking about in Exodus and Leviticus and Deuteronomy about the issue of nars and gurs, and Judges and Joshua, it's there also. That feeds our intellect. It tells us, all right, what are the principles here? But there are a lot of verses that actually go after our heart. And those are the verses that tell the Jewish people, again, U.S. isn't Israel, but tell the Jewish people, hey, you used to be sojourners too. You were aliens and strangers, so have a heart. Be compassionate. Do what you can to help people because you used to be just like them. So the Old Testament presents me not just with principles and potential rules that we can create, but also it addresses my heart. When it comes to criminals and drug dealers, that should be a no-brainer. I know it's not for a lot of people these days. That should be a no-brainer. For these other folks that want to be here, that want to be assimilating, that are hardworking, our heart should beat more toward, hey, we'd love to have you here if we possibly can, because the Bible informs us there's got to be laws, there's got to be rules, there's got to be assimilation. But our heart, as we even talk about these issues, probably needs to be more tender than the current political climate when discussing these subjects.
Okay, let me take a break. I got an airplane starting up behind me. Let me take a quick break. We'll be right back with Todd in just a moment. Hold on here.
Since 1987, Four Seasons Nursery has been the gold standard in the green industry here in Southern Oregon. Tim Albert and his friendly staff continue to offer the best plants and most accurate knowledge to create your dream landscape. At Four Seasons Nursery on Crater Lake Avenue, you can let your imagination run wild with a huge selection of all things plant and gardening for both inside and outside beautification. Whether it's a flower for your windowsill, one of our beautifully renowned signature hanging baskets, or a complete landscape design for your entire property, Four Seasons Nursery can help you every step of the way with design services, workshops, and more. Let your imagination run wild as you immerse yourself in their nursery filled with beauty that knows no bounds. Four Seasons Nursery, 5736 Crater Lake Avenue, 5736 Crater Lake Avenue, 1/2 mile north of Vilas Road, 541-779-5603, 541-779-5603.
Go where the wild runs deep. At Hellgate Jetboat Excursions, you feel the power of the mighty Rogue River as you take in the sights and sounds of nature, journey through Hellgate Canyon, and adventure through the breathtaking wilderness. Enjoy brunch or dinner on the open-air deck of the exclusive Hellgate River Lodge and end your adventure with our exciting jetboat spins. It's a memory in the making with family and friends. Book your adventure at Hellgate.com. Hellgate Jetboat Excursions, where adventure runs wild.
The full force of the collision was right on my neck. I'd hit the steering wheel right at my voice box and airway. It became very difficult to breathe very quickly. And I could feel it tightening up, and I could feel my airway starting to close. That was the time that you really cry out to God and say, you know, I can't do this, and I'm gonna need you.
Watch the 700 Club Tuesday morning at 11 on the Dove TV.
Okay, welcome back. Hopefully I can do this. I got an airplane out behind me here, Todd, and sorry about that.
On.
Well, we're at an airport, and we're remodeling our building to get away from that very problem right there. We're not quite through with the project yet.
Do you get lawnmowers too? Is that an issue for you?
Lawnmowers. Stick around, helicopters. I mean, it's good.
Trains, planes, and automobiles.
Oh, yeah, that's us. Hey, listen, there seems to be a lot of shaking going on within the church community globally, especially in the United States. We're seeing a lot of ministries being exposed, and I don't want to go down that road being too super negative, but I think there is something's going on where the judgment is starting first in the house of the Lord, and it is also splitting conservative evangelicals. And I'm just wondering, is this God, or is this divide and conquer by the devil?
Well, we need to define our terms here. Is there ever a time for division? Absolutely. Mark those which cause division and avoid them. Paul also made it clear that there needs to be some type of division to the Corinthians so that we know who's true and who's false. Having said that, the entire book of 1 Corinthians is dedicated to stop being divided. In other words, stop being so sectarian. I'm of Paul, I'm of Apollos. Jesus prayed, John 17, for our unity. And so we desire unity where we have the essentials squared. Where we don't have the essentials, there must be division. Unfortunately, what we have been seeing, and you're rightly observing, Perry, is inside of this group of folks who are square on the essentials, if we do not align on every jot and tittle with the same level of intensity as I believe that particular issue, you're out of here. So, Perry, let me give you an example of how ridiculous it has become here. And let's just see if you and I can have fellowship in this current climate. Perry, in church, which do you think are more biblical, pews or individual chairs? Pews or individual chairs?
Well, how about the Orthodox where they stand?
You just refuse to play with me. Okay, fine. Standing, pews, or chairs? Which side are you on, Perry?
I'm on the side where the Spirit flows.
Okay. You're not going to give it up for me, because whatever you would have said, if I didn't agree, we would have to part company.
Yeah,
it has become almost that ridiculous, and it's almost always, Perry, it's less on theological issues, although there's a lot of that, but it's more on political, social, and cultural issues. Mm-hmm. The climate, the temperature in our country politically, it is so hot. We're all at 211. It's like, come on, give me that evidence on Biden so that he fell down the stairs too. Whatever. We're just like right on the edge. We want to just have a great big gotcha and aha, because it's so weird out there. The worldviews that are in competition are just bizarre. Frankly, a lot of it is just plain demonic. Nevertheless, as a Christian, I've got to be careful that I identify if this is a cultural and social issue. Am I really willing to divide with a brother who doesn't see, for instance, the big, beautiful bill? It increased spending. Okay, I don't think that's good. I don't think a government should operate that way. But if you think, hey, you understand economics, you understand tariffs and trade, and you've just got a different view on it, we're seeing Christians dividing over something like that. And I can't even find that anywhere in theological triage. It's not an essential. It's not secondary. It's not tertiary. It's like way out here. It doesn't mean the Bible doesn't inform on it. But if we've got a difference of opinion on some of these issues, we got to be careful that we stop this factiousness and this dividing over everything. Perry, I know you're familiar with this term. You've got issues closed-fisted. These are the essentials of the faith. This is believing in Jesus Christ, grace alone, faith alone, revealed in the Bible alone. In other words, the 5 solas. Don't mess with. We can't have fellowship. These are closed-handed issues. But you got open-handed issues. You've got things where we can disagree. And for a while in conservative circles, we were doing well. For instance, case in point, John MacArthur, believer's baptism. R.C. Sproul, pedo baptism. Did they fight? No. Did they talk about the issue? Yeah. Did they even debate the issue? Yeah. Did they divide over the issue? No. These days, it seems that we can't find that zone where we have differences of opinion on secondary and tertiary theological issues and still have unity. And that is something that I actually hope is coming to an end, because we have seen historic levels of ridiculous divisions over things that shouldn't divide, and it is weakening the body, and it is robbing all of us of sweet unity that exists when we come together, square on the closed-fisted issues, but charitable on the open-handed issues.
In that division, are we creating a barrier for the seeker to run from?
Well, they see it, they hear it, they watch it. Now, look, that happens with denominationalism. I think a lot of people that aren't believers scratch their heads and say, what is all of that about? I think denominations, the way that I see them, Perry, is it's almost like divorce. God doesn't want it, but it's a concession. Okay, you knuckleheads, you can't get together on pedo and believer's baptism. You can't figure out if it's real presence in, with, and under, consubstantiation, transubstantiation. All right, so I'm going to let you guys just separate, but that's not ideal. In heaven, we're not going to have denominations. So it's really by concession, and the world sees it, and they scratch their head. So what I'm hoping can happen is that we identify those who are square on the essentials, and we can have a bigger, correct, biblical, scary word, ecumenism. Want to be careful, not unbiblical ecumenism. I'm talking about where we're square on the essentials. We can actually think, hey, I just might be in heaven with that person and enjoy that person. I might not be able to do church with that person because it's just too hard, even with the issue of baptism. But we will have sweet unity, even as we are in different denominations.
All right, that's well said. Because I think talking to Dr. George Barna recently in all of his research, there seems to be a silent, if I can use the word silent, seeking revival among young men.
I agree.
And if they look at the church and they see this bickering going on even over the essentials, are we dropping the ball and the opportunity to teach them the essentials because we're arguing over them?
Yeah, well, but Perry, what my contention is, we're not even really arguing over essentials. There's really no argument. You either do or you don't. I'm talking about a laundry list of issues where we can have a difference of opinion. And by the way, George Barna is spot on with this. We're seeing this. It's not just social influencers. We're seeing it on campuses. By the way, Perry, very exciting. We're going to start invading campuses. This fall, we're going to do 4 campus events. And then next spring, we're going to try to do 9, and then 9 more in the fall, where we go to the campuses, because I am telling you, we do not need to go there to destroy that liberal university student and make a YouTube video over it, because so many of these kids, they're hurting, they're broken, they're confused, they're lonely, things just aren't right out there. Somebody please do me better than Andrew Tate when it comes to being a man. Help me sort this out. So we're going to go to campuses because there is a great openness. And my plea with churches, if you are within walking distance of a university, I plead with you, get to that campus. The kids want to talk. You will maybe run into 1 out of, say, 100. That's not a George Barna statistic, but it's 1 out of 100 are going to go, nah, Go away, Christian. Okay, we can handle that. Most of the kids are desperate to talk, and we have something to say. We just need to go speak it.
So do you think there is a silent revival happening?
Yeah, there's interest. There's greater interest. And my if I could be negative for a moment, my concern about the interest, it's kicked off with a right observation. People, it seems, used to be happier. So let's say you got a 20-year-old and their 40, 45-year-old, 50-year-old parents talk about the good old days. They're looking at it and going, well, where are they? What happened? And they're coming to a right conclusion. It used to be more Christian. The principles of the Bible being applied to society, whether people believed in Jesus or not, did us better. Maybe we should reconsider those. So that's where the starting place is. But we want to make sure that we don't present Christianity as a system that will enhance your life. Christianity needs to be something that is not just practice for principles and ideals and life hacks. It is to be believed in. And that's where the transformation comes from. So I think that they're observing something's different. It seems Christianity used to be better for us. I'm willing to examine it. And you know what? I'm willing to say I'm happy for that attitude. Now we need to speak it to them.
One other quick question before I run out of time. So in that process, do you think that we have talked so much that we have closed the door on the transcendence of God?
Oh, here's another one, though, Perry. We have left out the transcendence, but simultaneously, do you know what else a big group of us have kind of pushed to the sideline because of the abuse? The love of God. The Christianity, we are the love religion. God is love. That's like an equal sign. God is love. Jesus died because God so loved the world. In this is love, not that we love God, but that he loved us and he gave his son as the propitiation. We are the religion of love. So I think you're right. I think some of us are missing out on the transcendence. We're treating God like he's a groovy, cool dude or maybe a boyfriend. On the other hand, you've got people who are reticent to say God is actually, nice and he loves to save sinners. So we just got to, it's always a tenuous walk, but we've got to get on the theological horse and not fall to the left or to the right.
Hey, good to see you, buddy. How's everything going?
So excited around here, Perry. I'm telling you, this campus initiative, hey, shout out. If you want us to come to your campus, we don't even charge you for it. We'll come on our own dime. You get a hold of Dalton at fortisinstitute.org, and he'll send you stuff because we are going to start going to campuses in a big, impactful way. That's just one of our new initiatives here, Perry.
That's good. Well, the work of your organization is amazing. By the way, you can go to fortisinstitute.org. That's the parent company to all the things that he's doing. They're the parent ministries, and there is a host of things that they're involved in. It's really transformed. I remember when he was just a little guy pounding away on a radio station.
It's been 25 years, Perry. We're celebrating our 25th anniversary here.
Congratulations. Well, I'll see you this fall.
I want more than anything else? I just want to get to the finish line without tripping and going splat. That's all I want.
I hear you loud and clear. And I'll see you this fall, although it might be 3 minutes. I'll see you this fall.
Yeah, maybe.
No. Good to see you, pal. God bless you. Take care.
Love you guys at the Dove.
Okay.
The right cleaning company matters. Choose Dust Plus Cleaning and Carpet Care, a family-owned company proudly serving Grants Pass and nearby communities for over 25 years. We're passionate about delivering the best, whether it's carpets, using purified water for no window spots, or carefully washing solar panels. We're committed to superb customer service from start to finish. Radiant spaces from local professionals. Request a free quote today.
Come fall in love with Northridge Senior Living, where contemporary sunlit interiors meet old world elegance. Walk through our lovely hallways and enjoy the fun staff-led activities. Forge lasting friendships with other residents and our exceptional caregivers. Dine in style. Gather near the fireplace under breathtaking chandeliers. Our reasonably priced apartments are spacious with private balconies. Northridge is Christian-owned and operated, pet-friendly, and only 2 blocks from Asante Rogue Regional Medical Center. On-site 24/7 in-home care is available. We also offer senior adult daycare where your loved one can spend the day with us and the evenings with you. Northridge Senior Living, your home.
theDove.us, your place online to stay encouraged and informed. Enrich and grow your faith with reliable, inspiring content. Anywhere you are, you can stream the Dove TV's faith-based programming. Listen to the Dove Radio. Ask for prayer. Get the Word for You Today devotional. Plus, download the Dove app. Go to theDove.us, a trustworthy Christian media platform that will change your life forever. Make it yours today.
Welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson. As we said earlier, the whole subject of anti-Semitism is just across the news, and primarily here in the United States, showing up in some of these universities. And it's just amazing. You just kind of put your brain on tilt. What's this all about? Well, I am always honored when we have time to sit down with Robert Spencer. He's the director of Jihad Watch, and he's a Shulman Fellow at the David Horowitz Freedom Center. He's also the author of best-selling books such as The History of Jihad, The Palestinian Delusion, and Did Muhammad Exist? This is kind of like his last book. Oh, no, excuse me. His latest book is Anti-Semitism, History and Myth. There it is right there. There's the picture of that book. Robert does have a website, jihadwatch.org, jihadwatch.org. And there's the picture of the landing page. Robert, friend, always good to see you. How are you?
Just great, Perry. Good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. We value it greatly. I want to play a clip for you to kind of maybe set up a little conversation. I don't know if you saw this while you were waiting, but I had Kenneth Abramowitz on. I don't know if you know much about him. He's quite the historian. And I did ask him the question, why does CRT exclude anti-Semitism? And he said, well, you need to know the history of anti-Semitism. So let me play this clip, and I think it sets our conversation up. So I hope you had your coffee. Take a look.
Anti-Semitism is a disease, and it's been a disease of 3,800 years. I have an expression, show me the first Semite, and I'll show you the first anti-Semite. So Judaism's been around for 3,800 years and with Abraham. And then about 500 years later, roughly 3,300 years ago, the Torah, the Old Testament, was delivered to the Jews and summarized in the Ten Commandments. So the Ten Commandments is like the Cliff Notes of Judaism, and adopted by Christians. So the Cliff Notes of Judeo-Christian society and philosophy is the Ten Commandments. Well, the Ten Commandments are basically a rule book. And at that time, the world was run by criminals, by pagans who didn't believe in one God. They believed in multiple gods, and they had no firm distinction between right and wrong. And so the Jews basically delivered a rule book. So can you imagine, pretend that you lived in biblical times, and every city, state, and country was run by a criminal organization, and you walk into the mayor or the governor or the king's office and say, Mr. Leading Official of our state, I want to show you the rule book. And the king says, and who are you? I mean, I'm the king. I write the rules, and I'm God, by the way, too. God sent me to be the king. And you show up with the Ten Commandments, and you tell me I'm supposed to read them and listen to them and abide by them? I don't think so. Get out of my office, or let me kill you, because I do not want your laws. And that's the beginning of anti-Semitism.
What do you think?
Well, I think there's a lot to what he says, absolutely, that it's certainly something that has always bothered the conscience of the world, that the Jews even exist. And it's interesting to note that some of the earliest manifestations of anti-Semitism, as I explain in the book, come from ancient Greeks before Christianity, who made up the idea that the Jews had secret practices that they had in the Holy of Holies, where the presence of God is. They actually had a donkey's head and all these things that had no basis in actual Jewish belief or practice. But it seemed to me that they were designed to undermine the Jews' universal claim to say that the one true God has spoken, and this is what the one true God has said, and that pertains to everyone, Jewish or non-Jewish. That is one of the big reasons why the Jews are so hated around the world to this day.
I want to also, before we slip away too far here, I want to come back to something that was big in the news for a day. It's gone now, and that is the killing of that beautiful couple there at the Capitol Jewish Museum. And it echoed clear across the country and around the world, but you don't see much of it now. But who is Mr. Rodriguez? Who is the guy that did the shooting? Do you know?
Yeah, Perry, I know a little bit about him, and it's fascinating because this guy, he screams "Free Palestine" after he murders two Israelis outside the Jewish Museum in Washington. And he's not Palestinian. He's not an Arab. He's not a Muslim. What he is a Marxist. He's a member of the Party for Socialism and Liberation. And actually, what I show in the anti-Semitism book is that one of the chief sources, the four chief sources of anti-Semitism historically, are Christianity, which is unique in having rejected anti-Semitism, as well as Islam, National Socialism, Nazism, and International Socialism. And international socialism, I think, is very much misunderstood and overlooked as a source for anti-Semitism. But Elias Rodriguez actually embodies the idea that the international socialists are collectivists. They want everybody to be the same in their mega socialist state. And so they want to destroy national borders. That's why the Biden administration, under the control of socialist internationalists, opened the southern border. And so they hate Israel because Israel is a particular state for a particular people. And that's completely against the collectivist idolatry of the socialist internationalists. And that's what Elias Rodriguez was working, the assumptions he was working from when he murdered this couple.
Is it true that he was radicalized at Chicago University?
Yes, seems like it. And of course, that's no surprise because the universities all over the country now are not really institutions of higher learning at all anymore, but just centers of hard left indoctrination. Elias Rodriguez is Exhibit A.
Okay. So anti-Semitism now is just front and center, right in front of us. It's in our face all over the place. How are other countries and world leaders handling this?
Well, they're in total denial for the most part and completely cowardly about it. It's really terrible what's going on. You take, for example, in Britain, it's just ridiculous. It could not possibly be parodied. There was a Jewish demonstrator, a counter-protester at a pro-Hamas rally, and he was holding up a poster making fun of Hezbollah and showing the late leader of Hezbollah, Hassan Nasrallah, with his pager going off and beeping. And of course, this was a reference to Israel's famous operation taking out hundreds of Hezbollah operatives by exploding their pagers. And for making fun of Hezbollah in this way, this Jewish protester was actually arrested, while guys that are out there screaming that for the destruction of Israel and a new genocide of the Jews, the British police just passed them by.
Whoa. Okay, we could camp there all day, but I want to go on. You published an article, I think just yesterday, about Tommy Robertson there in the UK and the interesting connection with Elon Musk. Update us on that one, Robert.
Yeah, Tommy really is a martyr for the freedom of speech in the UK, which is on its last legs. Britain is in, and it's no exaggeration, Perry, it's in its last days as a free society, if it can even be called a free society at all. Tommy has been singular in calling attention to the Muslim rape gang activity, which has been rampant. Hundreds of thousands, no exaggeration, hundreds of thousands of British girls have been victimized and their lives destroyed by these gangs. And the British authorities looked the other way because they didn't want to be called racist and Islamophobic. Tommy was virtually alone in calling attention to that. For that, he's been hounded and persecuted by the British government. He was just released yesterday, but he's going to go back to court next week. Once again, he's been consistently jailed for things that other people would get light sentences or no sentences at all for. It's very clear that the British government wants to destroy him. They want to make an example of him for calling attention to these things that they'd rather sweep under the rug.
So what's the connection to Elon?
Elon called attention to the Muslim rape gang activity when the British government was looking the other way, as they did for years on end. And Elon made it into a big international issue for the very first time and forced the British government to reopen some old inquiries that had been closed and to start some new ones to try to come to some honest resolution about all this. And so Tommy publicly thanked Elon Musk yesterday for doing all this, because it also brought attention to how the British government has been hounding and persecuting him for being the guy standing out and talking about these issues.
Wow. Do you think Parliament, Robert, can survive by allowing the coexistence of pockets of Sharia law?
There's no way. Britain cannot stand. Just as Abraham Lincoln said, a house divided against itself cannot stand. And of course, he was quoting the Bible, quoting the Lord's words, but he was referring to the split in the United States between the North and the South at the time he was president. And it's the same thing in Britain. You can't have two parallel societies, two parallel laws, not a single rule for the whole people. This is actually a foundational lesson that the British taught us. It was the Magna Carta in the year 1215, signed by King John of England, that ended the practice of having the nobles have one law and they were free from other laws that the commoners had to follow. There was going to be henceforth one law for all people. Now Britain is retreating from that. That's the very basis of what makes for a free society, that you don't have special classes that have special laws that other people that don't apply to other people. And so Britain is now retreating from what made it one of the leading lights and pioneers of free societies in the world.
Do you think the average Brit understands this?
No, because they're miseducated. They're told all the time that it's racist and Islamophobic to question these things. So most of them are completely complacent about what's going on or intimidated into silence.
What about France? Are they in the same trouble?
Yeah, France is very much in the same boat. Macron, as a matter of fact, the president of France, was just handed the other day a report about Muslim Brotherhood activity and infiltration in France, and he immediately downplayed it and said, let's not be hysterical here. This is an exaggeration, because he needs the Muslim vote. And indeed, he would not have been elected president the last time if it hadn't been for the Muslim vote. But the problem is that the Muslim vote and Macron are in favor of open borders, of bringing in large numbers of Muslims. It's not that Muslims are bad people or something like that, but when you have people who believe in Islamic law and think that it's the only legitimate law and that it's superior to the law of the land, that's just a recipe for societal upheaval. And that's what France is bringing upon itself, as well as Britain.
I just don't think we in the West understand that conviction and that position in life, that when you're dealing with a monarchy versus what we have over here, a republic democracy, we can't wrap our head around the fact that one ideology rules everything.
That's right. And so we have no idea really of the threat of Sharia, because it is all-encompassing and it covers every aspect of life. But probably if people have heard of it at all in the United States, they think of it as Islamic religious law, like Catholic canon law for marriages and things like that, that don't apply to people outside the faith. And yet Sharia does pertain to non-Muslims and actually mandates their second-class status in a society ruled by the hegemony of Islamic law. So this is something that would destroy America as a free society, as it is already in the process of destroying Britain, France, Germany, and Sweden.
One more quick question, Robert, before I take a break. With all of the controversy and the fanning of the flame of anti-Semitism on college campuses, are these pristine universities going to survive this?
Well, ultimately not. Ultimately there's no way that they can sustain it. But the fall will not come for a while because, even if Trump succeeds in cutting off the federal funding and some judge doesn't reverse it all, as is likely to happen, then they've got billions of dollars in endowments, most American universities today. So they can survive for quite a long time while continuing to be the radioactive centers of leftist indoctrination that they are today.
All right. Let me take a quick break. Check out Robert's website, jihadwatch.org. Support his organization, jihadwatch.org. Check out his latest book, Anti-Semitism, History and Myth. Right there is a picture of the cover of the book. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Jetboat Excursions, you feel the power of the mighty Rogue River as you take in the sights and sounds of nature, journey through Hellgate Canyon, and adventure through the breathtaking wilderness. Enjoy brunch or dinner on the open-air deck of the exclusive Hellgate River Lodge and end your adventure with our exciting jetboat spins. It's a memory in the making with family and friends. Book your adventure at Hellgate.com. Hellgate Jetboat Excursions, where adventure runs wild.
Clean water is essential to your good health. Ultra Pure Purified Water has been delivering purified, healthy drinking water to the Rogue Valley since 1995. Locally owned and family run, Ultra Pure Purified Water uses a multi-stage process ensuring your delivery of water is 99.8% pure, so your family stays hydrated and healthy. Online at ultrapurewaterinc.com or call 541-734-0828. 541-734-0828.
Finding that next great series to binge watch is fun, but your neck, shoulders, and body don't count that as me time. Hi, I'm Tamara Miller, owner of Organic Element Spa, and I invite you to put down the remote, get off the couch, and schedule yourself some real me or we time with your favorite service, like one of our many massages, couples massages, or facials. Your health, safety, and comfort are always top priority with us at Organic Element Spa. We can't wait to see you. Book your appointment today.
Tackling the tough issues facing America and our nation's freedom. That's Secolo on the Dove TV. A bold half hour taking you inside the battle of constitutional and political freedom. Be in the know with Secolo on the Dove TV.
Okay, welcome back. Always an honor to have with us Robert Spencer. He's the director of Jihad Watch. He's authored quite a few books. His latest one I think you'll find to be a fascinating read, and it helps us with what we're dealing with in our culture today. Anti-Semitism, History and Myth. There's a picture of the cover of the book on the screen. He does have a website. It's very active, and let me encourage you to go there and support him, jihadwatch.org, and there's the picture of the landing page there. Okay, Robert, through the break, I was trying to figure out how do I diplomatically ask a tough question? And I found out there is no way. So I'll just come right out and say, ask the question. Has Christianity contributed to the spread of anti-Semitism?
Yeah, Perry, as a Christian, I'm sorry to say this myself, but we have to be honest about it. The fact is that it was a chief source of anti-Semitism for many centuries. But Christianity, as I mentioned before, is the only major source of anti-Semitism historically where the principal Christian leaders, the leaders of the major denominations, have actually rejected it. There's no Islamic leaders who've rejected Islamic anti-Semitism. Nazism is still Nazism. International socialism is much more anti-Semitic than most people realize. But Christianity, it's rejected. So that's the first thing that we need to bear in mind. But the fact is that throughout history, there have been Jews who have been brutalized, victimized, even killed because of the Christians' idea, many Christians' idea, that they were uniquely responsible for the death of the Lord. And this, of course, comes from a reading of the Passion narratives that places the blame on the Jews, zeroes in on the statement in Matthew about the Jews in the audience as Pilate is talking to them, saying, "His blood be upon us and upon our children," and so on. And the thing is, though, I think that even though it became very common in Christian Europe, unfortunately, to say that the Jews were the killers of Christ, it's based on a fundamental misunderstanding of the faith. Because after all, you and I would both say that if somebody asked us, who put Christ on the cross? Why did Jesus die on the cross? I'd say, because of my sin. It was my fault. I did it. Every human being did it. We are all responsible because he was on the cross in order to redeem us from our sins. And so that seems to me to be completely contradictory to the idea that the Jews did it, because if it's the fault of the Jews and it's this terrible thing that happened, then how is it that everyone's sin put him on the cross? It's either the Jews or everyone. And so if we're going to talk about his universal salvific act in bearing our sins upon the cross, then that in itself cancels out the possibility of saying the Jews are responsible. And so it seems to me Christian anti-Semitism is fundamentally incoherent and contradictory to the basic tenets of the faith across all the denominations and sects. And that's why it's been rejected.
That's probably one of the best explanations I've ever heard, Robert, because you just knocked in the head Reconstructionism.
Well, that's the whole idea, yeah. If we have these kinds of theological concepts within Christianity, then we have to recognize that they're not compatible with the universal redemption. And so that's the end of Christianity altogether.
So why isn't there more of a genuine expression to Jews from major denominations, i.e. the Orthodox Church, the Catholic Church?
Well, the Catholic Church actually, for all the disagreements that we may have with it, they actually led the way on this in the 1960s with a declaration. And it wasn't the first time, as a matter of fact. As I show in the book, it's very famous that at the Second Vatican Council in the 1960s, the Catholic Church officially rejected the idea that the Jews have unique responsibility for putting the Lord on the cross. But this was actually something that they were repeating from the Council of Trent in the middle of the 1500s. And yet, even after the Council of Trent, there were many Catholics who continued to repeat this. We have to acknowledge that after the Second Vatican Council, that has been much less true, and that Christian anti-Semitism has considerably receded and declined in the last part of the 20th century and the beginning of the 21st, at least until the advent of all this new anti-Semitism from the likes of Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson and such.
Wow. Building upon your knowledge there, let me step into the spiritual just for a moment. We see something very spiritual happening with Israel. It's being attacked from all sides. Its only strong ally is us right now, the United States. There seems to be some daylight appearing between Trump and Netanyahu, or that could be just response from the media. What's your assessment today?
Well, Perry, I always have Ezekiel 38 in the back of my mind, and the idea that there will be an eschatological moment when Israel is completely isolated. And, we all saw that coming down the road fast during the Biden administration and thought that now it will recede a little bit during Trump's period in office. And now Trump, for whatever reason, is also distancing himself from Israel. Now, I did see yesterday him speaking, and he did seem to be contradicting some of the more lurid media reports, saying that the order or the request to Netanyahu not to attack Iran right now was just a tactical thing and a temporary delay in light of the ongoing negotiations. And it was not some turning against Israel. And so that was encouraging to see. But I am afraid that it is going to work out that way ultimately. But this, of course, will be in the Lord's time, and it will be a difficult period. But in the end, of course, we know that the good will triumph.
So, is this delay really ongoing negotiation, or could it possibly be internal preparation?
It could be. I mean, after all, the cozying up to Qatar is a very bad sign. It seems like Trump, just a few years ago, he said Qatar is a chief terror state. It's a dangerous state. And now he seems to have forgotten all about that. And suddenly we're pals and making all these deals with Qatar. Well, what happened to the fact that they had the Hamas guys there on October 7th celebrating the attacks, and that they're still sheltering some of the surviving Hamas leaders? Why isn't Trump saying anything about that? It remains disquieting, and I'm hoping that ultimately it will be sorted out, and the president will make abundantly clear that he is not retreating from the U.S. alliance with Israel. Right now, it's not entirely clear.
Do you think Israel still goes at it alone against Iran? I mean, the clock is no longer ticking. They're at the line, from what I understand. There's no longer time here. It's there.
I think they're going to have to, just like they did with Saddam Hussein's nuclear facilities in Iraq, and there were others, and the world condemned them. But then a few years later came around, and all these heads of state were thanking Israel for taking out this dangerous nuclear program. I suspect that's what we're going to see with Iran as well.
So I'm not trying to be fearful here or warmongering, but it appears to me you got Putin totally out of control there with Ukraine, running the risk of all that diplomacy blowing up. You've got China kind of on bended knee economically, and you got Iran over here with the nuke. If those three band together, we have World War III.
Yeah. Well, that's a very real possibility, and it can't be discounted. I don't want to sound all doom and gloom myself, but Perry, we have to face the reality. Iran has been working with Russia for years. China has numerous partners in the Islamic world and would love to get in on the action in that regard. And so it could easily happen. It could all too easily happen. That actually might be one reason why Trump told Netanyahu to hold up. There were some indications that I saw that there were concerns in Washington, in the administration, about this becoming a global conflict, and that could be nuclear Armageddon right there.
At the same time, he's also proven one thing President Trump has, that the power of the tariff, which is really a restriction against these companies, he could increase sanctions on both Russia and China and cripple them economically, which kind of disengages them from the triangle, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's already happening with China. I think that it should happen with Russia. As a matter of fact, yesterday, Putin was saying, hey, you got to remove these sanctions. They're killing us. And I thought, well, you just gave us the indication of what we ought to do next in order to stop your belligerent activities.
Yeah, interesting. Robert, you always give us time. Thank you, brother. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work. Let me say to our viewers and listeners, check out his latest book, Anti-Semitism, The History and the Myth. There's the picture of the cover. And check out his website. Support him, jihadwatch.org. Thank you, Robert. God bless you, friend. Stay in the fight.
You too, Terry. Thanks so much.
You bet.
Washington Watch with Tony Perkins is your watchful eye on the nation's capital. Every weeknight, covering current events, issues of faith, family, and freedom from a conservative Christian perspective.
Washington Watch, thanks so much for joining us.
Bringing you up close to newsmakers, members of Congress, and prominent pro-family leaders from across the nation.
That's just the tip of the iceberg of the threats and the dangers that children are facing online.
Tony is the president of the Family Research Council, a former state legislature, ordained minister, police officer, and veteran of the Marine Corps.
Terrorism experts are sounding the alarm.
And welcome to the Washington Watch News Desk.
Washington Watch with Tony Perkins is your leading source for what's really happening in our nation's capital.
Well, this is a state issue. The federal government shouldn't be forcing these states.
Don't miss Washington Watch with Tony Perkins. Weeknights at 6 only on the Dove TV. Encouraging and informative. Tackling the tough issues facing America and our nation's freedom. That's secular.
Come fall in love with Northridge Senior Living, where contemporary sunlit interiors meet old world elegance. Walk through our lovely hallways and enjoy the fun staff-led activities. Forge lasting friendships with other residents and our exceptional caregivers. Dine in style. Gather near the fireplace under breathtaking chandeliers. Our reasonably priced apartments are spacious with private balconies. Northridge is Christian-owned and operated, pet-friendly, and only 2 blocks from Asante Rogue Regional Medical Center. On-site 20